I now call the April 9th, 2019 work session meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 6 p.m. We'd like to welcome everybody that's here. The Pledge of Allegiance I'll lead, and the invocation will be Council Member Hancock.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet together here tonight and to be able to discuss the needs of the many organizations that serve our city. We thank Thee for their efforts. We ask Thee to please bless them to continue to have success and continue to do the great work that they do in making our city better and helping the citizens that we serve. We ask that it please help us all to be able to have our minds enlightened tonight, be able to do the things that will please Thee and will help our citizens. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Would the city clerk please read the roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilwoman Rebecca Schatze.
Here.
Councilman Corey Rhoda.
Here.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Here. The chair would entertain a motion to excuse Councilman Larson.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion by Councilman Rhoda and a second by Councilwoman Schatze. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare the quorum present and would ask for, the chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Borders for the agenda and a second from Councilman Hancock. Any discussion? I do need to move 2 items. I should have had somebody do that for me, but I would like to move in the agenda. I would like to move the Big Brothers and Big Sisters to the number 1 position and Volunteers of America to the number 2 position, if that would be acceptable.
I guess I'd so move for that amendment to the agenda.
Thank you. So that just reversed. Thanks, guys. We appreciate that. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now we're back to the agenda. All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. So now we're clear to item 7. That's how fast we go. So if anybody's really trying to keep track, we would like to at this time hear from the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Northern Wyoming, if we could, please.
Sure.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I drove my coworker by my old house. We built things.
My name is Candace Whitlock, and I am the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters for Northwest Wyoming. I live in Worland, Wyoming, and we serve 5 counties in northern Wyoming. We're requesting $3,000 to support our program here in Riverton. We have a phenomenal program going on with our mentors and mentees here, and Kara Hancock is our program director, and I'm going to have her just tell you a little bit about what's going on in Riverton and how successful it is. And then afterwards, Trista, one of our high school bigs, will share with you her experience that she's having right now.
Great. Thank you, Council, and for the city staff to allow us to come visit a little bit this evening. It doesn't take long to talk to me before you find out that I absolutely adore Big Brothers Big Sisters. And Trista's going to show me how to do this. That's why we keep them around, right? I mean,
High school kids.
we don't do this, they do. Thank you. Actually, do you mind clicking it? And then I just don't even have to think about the computer. All right, so Big Brothers Big Sisters is an amazing program where we match bigs with littles. I take little kids for whatever situation. Maybe they come from a tough family. Maybe their families are maybe going through a divorce, financial something, or maybe their parents just see that there is a benefit to having them mentored. And I take that kid and specifically look for a big to match them with. I look for traits that will make them maybe push themselves a little bit further in one area, or maybe they can learn a new skill, or maybe they just really both like basketball. But for whatever reason, I find something that they're going to be interested, something that will make this match memorable, something that this time that they can spend together will be meaningful for the rest of their lives. So we all have crazy busy schedules, and there is a beautiful program called the Lunch Buddy Program. And what we do is we find amazing high school students that are willing to give up one lunch a week. And they go and visit with these little elementary age kids for 20 minutes once a week during lunch. And I tell you, there is nothing more amazing than the smile on a face of a little who gets to spend time with one of these amazing high school kids. I've got a football player who goes down to Rendezvous, and you can imagine him walking down the hall. He is the superstar. And the great thing is that he is an amazing kid making great choices, and they get to look up to him for that. Thank you, good job. So as I said, we look at a lot of different things to consider who should be matched. And like I also said, we're in it to last. We want these to be long-term matches. Once they are matched, I help with the match meeting. This is the first time they get to visit. And Trista, I'll actually ask you, how did you feel with your first meeting with your little?
My little was very shy at first, but seeing him every single week, maybe even more than that with our other big brother, big sister activities, he has grown to love me, and I'm like his favorite person in the world. He is so excited to see me. His teachers say he is so antsy every single Wednesday morning, just wanting to see me, and that is definitely the best part about it, seeing someone who has a hard time in life. And this poor boy, he has ADHD and he's off the walls. When I'm there, he's calm and he's actually doing his work, so I think that helps out a lot.
And just knowing the specific, the teachers really enjoy that we have Trista come because they can say, oh, you have to get your schoolwork done. Trista's going to be here today, and you don't want to miss lunch today. And believe me, that kid gets his schoolwork done. Or, you know what, you better make this apology to this kid that you just messed up with because you don't want to be in detention during Wednesday lunch because Trista's coming. It makes that kind of a really meaningful difference to these guys. As Corey Rhoda will be able to attest, being a big is an amazing experience. But there's ups and downs to it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not a guaranteed smooth ride. There are going to be times when maybe you're getting bored with each other, or the kid's just acting out, or it's just not working. And I can't solve all of those problems, but that's why I'm here, is to assist the bigs and the littles, and then to make a connection with the parents so that there's this full circle of communication that's happening. And we want this to not just fizzle out because something didn't feel right or schedules weren't jiving just right. We want these matches to be able to push forward and to find new schedules or new interests or new ways of making a difference. These are just a few questions that my kids often have. And that's another thing that's super exciting about what I do is I get just as excited about my bigs as I do my littles. I've been bugging Trista about where she's going to CWC still?
Yes.
Yes? And I get, I can be a reference to them. I can, make sure that they put this on their resume. There's also something I do with AmeriCorps members, and they can have a work grant towards a scholarship. There are so many benefits. I challenge you, find somebody that I can't put to work. I can find a schedule that'll work for anybody. I will find a situation that will work for anybody, and I will put you to work for fundraisers, activities, what you name it. I will put you to work, and I will be grateful and happy every time. So, I think we're getting close, and I know I'm taking up a whole bunch of your time, so let's kind of skip.
I want to mention something I want to just point out. We have 20 AmeriCorps members in Northwest Wyoming, and those AmeriCorps members, Trista is one of those. If she does 450 service hours with youth, then she gets about $1,500 in scholarship money to go towards college. So it's a really great opportunity for her to give back to her community, serve in her community, and also be rewarded with a little extra money to go to school. So that's pretty exciting. We have how many AmeriCorps members in the
We have 7 AmeriCorps members.
7 AmeriCorps members right here that are going to get that award at the end of July.
It's been fantastic. And something else I was supposed to mention, we have 21 high school bigs that are meeting with students in all of the elementaries. So in Aspen, at Rendezvous, and all 3 of the I just say Willow, Jackson, and Ash Grove, and then also several at the middle school. So we're hitting all of the schools. It's been really fantastic. So these are family match activities. So not only do I work with the kids during school, but I invite the entire families to come together once a month for family match activities. And the point of this is, like I said, this is a full circle. I want those families involved. I want those parents to meet the bigs and to have that kind of connection with me, the bigs, and the youth, so that there is a full circle of communication going on. They know each other. And then we also do kind of an informational program for the parents. This week we're teaching basic skills of Excel for using Excel to create a budget. So not only are we helping the youth, but the idea is that we're helping the entire family. We want those parents to have skills and to move the whole family in a positive direction.
Are the kids teaching the Excel course or the adults?
No. No, Trista's already taking care of that part of hers. It's Anthony Robbins is teaching that class.
How many littles do you have?
Right now we have 30 littles.
30?
So we have two programs. We have community-based bigs where we have adult mentors that are with littles, and then we have site-based bigs that are part of like the breakfast and lunch buddy program. But we have over 30 littles that are served just in Riverton. 21 of those are in the site-based program, which is part of the, not just high school students, but also CWC students are bigs as well in that program. So they're kind of meeting more with the middle school age kids to make it a little bit more age appropriate. But we have a fantastic program. Our last, the family match activity you had a couple months ago,
45.
she had 45 people at that one activity. So I think in total since October, in my records, she's already served 230 individuals in just Riverton in this program. So it's been really successful. It's going really well. So you need to give yourself a pat on the back. Anyways, we probably.
Thank you. But I didn't give Trista very much time, so I wanted to let her finish with just another thought.
Okay, so being part of AmeriCorps is awesome because it's the $1,500 scholarship, as we mentioned before. It is awesome because it rewards you for something you already do. I love volunteer work. I'm also in FBLA and FCCLA and a billion other clubs at my high school. I just love being involved, and it's awesome that a program just rewards you for working 4 hours a week for volunteer. My little is awesome. It goes to Rendezvous. His name is Mason. And recently I went to Costa Rica for a school trip, and he loves frogs. And of course his birthday is next week, so I got him a bunch of frog stuff from Costa Rica and a bunch of candy and some colognes so he can see all of that, and it's going to be an awesome birthday present, and he's going to be super excited. Also, every time we go to lunch, he likes to show me off to his friends, be like, oh, she can do this, she can touch her tongue to her nose, or she can lick her elbow. Isn't that cool? And I'm just the coolest person ever, and it's so heartwarming to see someone have so much fun when it is hard for him to make friends, but when I'm there, all the kids come to him. So it's an awesome program, and I hope you guys support it.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you for considering supporting the program.
Let's move to Volunteers of America, if we could, please.
Yes, Oh, Daniel.
Oh, yeah, that little guy right there. Evidently, our mouse is not talking.
No, it's not. Yes. I'm going to let you help me.
Let me help you get started.
I thought I did that.
Okay. And then let's see, is this a PowerPoint? Oh, it's just an Adobe. Okay, I think that's probably what we're going to get right there.
While they're getting set up, we recently went down to the Volunteers of America's facilities, and Tony was there, and the governor was there, and quite a few individuals, and we got to tour the facility, and what a nice facility it is, and how well kept it is. Mrs. Warpness was there, Helen was there, and Helen's been with them from the very start, since Volunteers of America came to Riverton, and we really do appreciate your assistance. So, do you think you're ready?
We are ready.
Do we need to get a 12-year-old to help you run that?
Probably.
Here we go. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Mayor Guard, councilmen, women, and city employees, thanks for the opportunity to be here. We're excited to be here, and as you know from the paper or the request that we submitted, we're asking for $112,000. That money specifically will go to our close observation beds. And before I turn the time over to Ron, I would like to go ahead and thank you for recognizing our board member, Helen Warpness. We're excited that she could be here with us tonight. You know, Ms. Warpness was involved from the beginning of substance abuse initiative in Fremont County in 2001 when Fremont County Alcohol Crisis Center got started. Actually, I think it's 2000. Traded my memory for gray hair, so if I have to bounce around with numbers for a minute, you'll provide me some grace, please. But at any rate, she's been, she helped start the initiative here in Fremont County. When we had a merger with Fremont County Alcohol Crisis Center, we strongly recruited Ms. Warpness for her energy and visionary qualities that she brings in her leadership position with our board. In addition to serving on our board, she is also serving as the president of a substance abuse group, a statewide substance abuse group called WAMSAC. With her leadership there, they continue to collaborate and have initiatives to address the substance abuse issue that really in Wyoming is very significant.
in Fremont County. It's the most significant county in the state for substance abuse issues. And so her work is really appreciated, and I'd just like to recognize her and thank her for that. Ron Woodward is our director. He's been with us for about a year now. We're excited to have him. He's bringing great insight, great vision to his position with leadership. And I'm going to turn the time over to him, and he's going to talk to you about some of the numbers that we've served this year. And as he does that, I just want you to remember we have 3 programs at the Center of Hope. One is close observations, the next is social detoxification, and the next is transitional living. And so just keep that in mind as he's sharing those numbers with you.
Thanks, Todd.
Run a little fancy? Okay. All right, well, I appreciate an opportunity to talk about the center. I always welcome the chance to discuss what we do, the importance of what we do to serve the community. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Center of Hope, we're a rural treatment center dedicated to helping people that are dealing with addiction to drug and alcohol. As reflected by the numbers, we run a pretty full house. We run a capacity the majority of the time. We anticipate this year we're going to come in at about 2,000 admissions. Compared to the other years, that may seem a little bit lower, but we've gone to a new type of data record system where we're going by hours, not by days. So that number, actually, if we were doing apples to apples for 2018-17, that number would be higher. But the important part of that, I guess, to point out is that we do run a capacity and provide all the services that are available for us to provide. The one thing I want to point out from this slide that I think is important has to deal with the first timers, the people that have come into the center for the first time ever. A lot of the people we get are repeat customers, if you want to call them that, repeat clients. But just as we forecasted for this year, to date we've got 119 people that came to our service for the first time for help. And we predict we're going to come in at about 150 to 160 people that for the first time came to our center to try to get help for the effects of drugs and alcohol. That's a significant number to remember in the fact that the center's been open now for a number of years. We continue to get people there for the first time looking for help with drugs and alcohol. It works. From this slide, the number that I really want to point out is that this is a success story, a success slide, if you will. This year, we look at almost doubling the number of people that are going to go to a residential treatment program. Those are success stories. Those are people that are going to get the tools to deal with long-term issues with drugs and alcohol. So that testimony alone shows that we're making progress. Our numbers are going up. But what this slide doesn't show you are the number of people that are involved in local long-term treatment programs. Right now, we're experiencing an all-time high of people that are staying at the center to enter into long-term treatment programs here locally, whether it be with local counseling centers or some on the reservation, or those we provide. They're doing their long-term counseling here with us now. So I think that's important to note that we set almost double the people out from last year for residential, but we're also at an all-time high for those people that are participating in long-term recovery right here in Fremont County. Our close ops days, these are people that are given a safe place to detoxify. They come right off the street, whether they're brought in by law enforcement, probation and parole, they come from the courts, they're brought in by family, they're self-admits, regardless of the source, we provide them with a safe haven, a safe place to detoxify. They can be there a number of hours, they can be there a number of days, but the point is they're not going to be out on the streets, they're not going to be at a risk to freeze to death or be injured. They're going to be safe, and we provide them with that environment. Our numbers are going to be consistent across the board. Again, we're anticipating somewhere about 27 to 3,000 for this year, which is consistent with our numbers as we've had in the past. So the value is still there, the safe haven's still there. The winter of 2017-18, they talked about 5 people freezing to death in the county. This year, we're talking maybe 2. So I think we're making a difference by providing that safe haven. Social detox, our numbers are going to be lower, and that for us is victory. That's where we want those numbers. We want to bring those down. We want to take the people that come into close ops, we bring them into our social detox center to get them ready for long-term recovery programs, the transitional programs, move them into long-term recovery as quickly as we can. We want those numbers to stay low. We don't want those people to stagnate here. We want to move them into long-term recovery as we can. So this number is going in the direction we want it to go. We want to be fluid, moving people from the detoxification to long-term recovery programs. So this just indicates that our program's working in the way we want it to work. Transitional living. This is a place where we can take a lot of satisfaction in the program. We're looking at a 43% increase in the number of people that are vested in transitional living situations opposed to previous years. These are people that are waiting a bed date at a residential facility, people that have returned from residential counseling training, or people that are participating in long-term recovery right here in Fremont County. We're seeing more people get the tools that they need to beat addiction than we have in the past. These are success stories. The more people we can get into transitional living, the more people we can get that can deal with their addiction on their own. So all in all, I think the center serves as a pivotal resource for the community. As Todd said, you know, the Sheriff's and Chief's executive summary has shown us over and over and over again that Fremont County leads the state in issues with alcohol. We'll see what the one that comes out in May has to show us for the county, but we're addressing that problem, and I really do think we're making a difference.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Ron. You know, these victories that Ron just talked to us about, that is the result of a great partnership that has existed with City of Riverton and Fremont County. So we absolutely depend on this partnership, and it's been long-standing, and it's worked, and it's helped people. This is the stuff that ought to warm your heart and say, yes, it's working. There's the other side of it, and I wanted to, just for the numbers folks, talk about what is the financial impact. If you guys continue to partner with Volunteers of America, what does that look like in Fremont County? And I'll have you know that last year, the numbers that I'm going to show, last year, your $90,000 grant to us helped us leverage money from the state. So with that $90,000, we provided those close observation days. With that money, we were able to provide leverage and secure additional funding with the state of Wyoming for the other programs. Is what that absolutely results in your county is employee wages and benefits, $1,078,515. It's a pretty good investment. I'd like to get that type of a return. In addition to that, rental fees, utilities, household items paid by Volunteers of America in Fremont County the last fiscal year was $75,217. You might ask, where's rent coming from, or what's that about? We also operate a homeless and imminently homeless veteran program here in Fremont County. It's called Supported Services for Veteran Families, and that's where that number's taken from. Camp Postcard. Since 2005, we've served 150 kids from Fremont County at Camp Postcard. Camp Postcard stands for Peace Officers Striving to Create and Reinforce Dreams. The City Council has allowed Cody Myers and, a couple officers anyway, to attend Camp Postcard for a week. That's free of charge for the kids to attend, and it's about $1,000 per kid is what our cost is. So the value to Fremont County is about $150,000 since 2005 at no cost to the city or the county. In addition to that, just know that you guys are trying to keep Denver Air Connection happening here in Fremont County, as we are in Sheridan County. We're using that service minimum 2 times a month. It's more like 4 to 6 times a month that we're using it, but we did have one month when it was only twice, so we're one of their top customers. So that's important for both Sheridan County and Fremont County to keep that service available to us. A couple other figures that I did not put in the graph, and I will be quick and respectful of time. Rapid response. We have a funder who, an anonymous funder who contributes money to the organization to go out for emergency situations. Since the last 8 years, $105,000 of those dollars have been spent here in Fremont County to help those who have emergency situations. And they're far ranging from maybe urgent utilities to funerals to fires. They're all things that we've helped with here in Fremont County. Additionally, this last year, at no cost to the county or the city, we invested $400,000 in addition at Center of Hope, and thank you for your acknowledgement of that. We're very proud of it. That $400,000 was spent on your local contractors and the permitting process, and we're just excited. There was no fundraising here locally. We didn't come and ask for money to increase our services. The organization found donors, and thanks to our board members and some organizations, we were able to get the funds to build that. Last but not least in any way, shape, or form, we have an employee giving program. Not many organizations do that, but our employees in our organization have the opportunity, if they would like to contribute part of their paycheck every month to a program of their choice, they can. And this year we're about $500 in employee giving from our employees at the center. They're giving back. That speaks to investment and belief in what we're doing. So, you know, in addition to the great impact that team is making with individuals who come through our doors, we're also making a huge financial contribution to Fremont County, and we're really proud of that, and we're really happy to be here and partners with you guys, and we'll look forward to hopefully support from you again this year.
Todd, you have another young lady with you, and I forgot her name. I apologize. Would you mind?
Yes, this is Jana Mori. She's our HR director, and she came over with me today to do some HR help with the team, understanding our benefit package that's of such value, and to get a better understanding of the program and the needs here in Fremont County, so that as our HR director in Sheridan, she's more versed, better acquainted with services, so she can be more of a resource.
Just for the knowledge of the audience, we've met with Todd and Ron twice since the first of the year, and Councilman Bailey was with us once, and I believe Tony, you were at both those meetings, weren't you? And so we do appreciate your efforts on our behalf and listening to us and hearing us, and so we appreciate your time.
Absolutely, and you know, when you say in your behalf as Fremont County, we absolutely feel like we have roots and we're a part of Fremont County.
Yeah, we think you are. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Let's go back to the top of the list, Abba House. Before we go there, Kyle, it's nice to have you. We were missing you.
Sorry,
Thanks, sir. We were.
Traffic is a little tough in Salt Lake City, and driving, you can only drive 70 miles an hour.
We're glad to have you back. For the audience, there are restrooms. This is going to be a long meeting, so there are restrooms out this door. And if you need to, just get up and excuse yourself, with plenty of meeting here. So we'll turn the time over to Abba House.
Hello, my name is Sarah Bueller. I'm Client Services Director at Abba's House.
You might want to hit the mic.
I'm really short, so I was worried.
Probably shut it. It's all right.
I did not prepare a computer presentation. I brought these wonderfully put together brochures for you instead, because I felt the company just did a really great job, and there's no way I could top that. Abba's House is requesting $15,000 to go towards a new project for our mobile medical unit. This mobile medical unit is crafted by Save the Storks, another 501(c) nonprofit working with Mercedes-Benz to craft elegant and state-of-the-art medical units to provide free ultrasounds, pregnancy testing, STD testing and treatment, and basic prenatal counseling. This bus will serve all of Fremont County, especially focusing on the outer reaches of the reservation where people have a severe lack of transportation. Lots of times, clients of ours who have to cancel their appointments state that it is due to their lack of reliable transportation. 4 out of 5 women who board a Storks bus choose life for their baby, and I don't have the statistic on how many of those are given for adoption, but choosing life is the thing we like to focus on. Abba's House is already working on multiple funding projects for this. The total cost of the bus is around $125,000. The National Knights of Columbus have agreed to donate the ultrasound machine that will go in the bus if the Knights of Fremont County can raise half the funds on their own, the $65,000. And we have a fundraiser on this coming Saturday night at St. Margaret's Church, where one of these buses will be present, and there will be 2 employees of Save the Storks there to answer any questions that anybody in the community has regarding the bus and how it functions and how it has served other counties. I believe there is 67 buses in the nation so far. They build new ones every time a center requests to the specifications of that center. The bus on the picture is not the bus we will be getting. They're going to make it special for Fremont County. Our board of directors has been working with Save the Storks on the exact design they want to represent the people who live here. And we got some designs back earlier this week that it's kind of still in negotiation area because they want to be very careful about making sure everybody is represented, Save the Storks and Abba's House and all of Fremont County. So I will keep my time short because I know there's a lot of people here, but please take a good look at that and you may keep those. And please feel free to drop by the fundraiser at St. Margaret's. It'll be at 6 o'clock and one of the buses will be there. Even if you just want to see the bus and not stay for the fundraiser, that is fine. But I would highly encourage you to come and see one of these with your own eyes. They are just wonderful. They are made to make the women who step aboard feel valued and loved and taken care of. Thank you for your time.
That was Saturday at
Yes,
6?
At 6 p.m. and it's at St. Margaret's Gym.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Let's go to the Child Advocacy project, if we could. If anybody has questions on the panel, would you jump in? I don't mean to pass you by. Thank you.
We don't print a ton, so we just share.
Super, thank you.
So I'm Stacey Nelson. I'm the executive director of the Children's Advocacy Project. I think this is my 3rd year here. So we are in Casper. We actually provide services to Fremont County and about 13 or 14 other counties this year. Actually, we've had a few more come into the mix compared to the year before, so who knows by the end of the year what that'll look like. But what we actually do, we conduct the forensic interviews when law enforcement gets a report of child abuse. So this month is actually Child Abuse Awareness Month, which is why I'm wearing blue. We had our big proclamation and everything today. So yeah, so some of you guys are in the mix. You have the right colors on. So like I said, the main purpose is to conduct the forensic interviews. We have 3 forensic interviewers on staff. We recently had one that was a contract position, and she has left after being there for a long time. She's having a new baby, so we're filling her position with a full-time interviewer because unfortunately our numbers are increasing. Sexual abuse is still one of the main issues that we see. We also are seeing drug-endangered kids. In fact, we just got a call today to do 5 interviews at the end of this week for some drug-endangered situations with some kids. I could tell you lots of stories about the kind of kids that come in, but I'm sure we don't have time for that. One of the things that we are asking for is the $3,000 is what our request is. And that helps us, obviously, for lots of reasons with general operations, but it also helps us meet a match. As you can see in the request, the city and county local government funding that we receive each year is approximately $116,000. It kind of ranges from all the different counties and cities. A lot of times I have people reach out to me and say, I'm sorry, we can only do $1,000 or something along those lines. And for us, it all means so much because it helps us meet a match through the federal grant that we get. And that requirement this year is approximately $42,000. So all of those city and county funds help us tremendously. We have, I guess you don't have last year's comparison, but we had an increase in the interviews. We also had an increase in the number of counseling services that we provided to kids. We have 2 licensed therapists on staff who are trained in trauma-focused counseling that is just a lot more focused on the kids and their whatever trauma they've gone to. One of them is trained in EMDR, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, a lot of PTSD type of cases. So I know law enforcement uses that. I know in Casper we have a team that will help with law enforcement officers if they need that as well. So we kind of provide a variety of types of therapy, but it's mainly the trauma focus for the kids and for the adults. We do see the parents. We don't charge the families or any of the law enforcement agencies or Department of Family Services, FBI. Today we had Homeland Security there. We don't charge them on a case-by-case basis like some CACs do. It's just strictly trying to get the funding throughout the year to help us be able to maintain. Our focus is not, it feels like if we focus on trying to charge the families, we will bill insurance if they have it, but we don't make them pay deductibles, things like that. They need to be working on the trauma of what's happened to them. We always say it's not just the kid that has gone through that trauma. The whole family has been affected by it. So we also have expanded, not through staff, but just expanded our advocacy program just to try to improve that. One of the things when I came in as the director 3 years ago, it was one of the focuses that we were trying to improve on. And unfortunately, I couldn't get it done, the first year I was there. It's one of those things you wish you had a magic wand that you could make everything happen right away that you wanted to. But we've improved on that a lot this year as well in trying to get more contact and more follow-up. She's been amazing at following up with families. She hops on the phone. We had a family from out of county, and I'm sorry, I don't remember if it was from here or somewhere else, but they were really struggling trying to figure out how to get their 2 children even to be able to have the forensic interview because of gas money, and apparently Department of Family Services is struggling with funds as well. So they didn't have a way to help them. So she hopped on the phone and had them, was able to get a gas card for them so they could be able to get the kids what they needed and get their interviews done. A lot of times people ask me what our outcomes are as far as conviction rates, things like that. We don't keep track of that. Obviously, you can see our annual report. We have some highlighted cases throughout the year just to give some insight on what can happen. I don't know if you guys watch the news. We've been in the news a lot recently just because we've had some pretty strong cases, I guess, with the DA's office and some pretty good convictions, I guess you could say it that way. But in the whole scheme, it's more about letting the kids have the chance to tell what's happening to them and let the investigation team determine if there's a crime, how we can help the families. We'll help the families whether or not law enforcement feels like they can proceed on a criminal case. We will still help the families regardless because sometimes there's just not enough to hit to meet that criminal piece, but sometimes we still obviously need to help them. Sometimes there's also the case that maybe nothing truly happened, but there's a false allegation somewhere out there, and that's how it came into play. And so in those cases too, whether it be if it's a kid that's made a false accusation or something, they still need therapy to figure out what's going on with them, to determine why. on a national basis, it's typical that with forensic interviewing and using the child advocacy model, things like that, it is not typical for every case to have a full disclosure and every case go to trial, things like that. It's just, that would almost be a concern if they found a way to do that with every kid, because it's just not average. So if you see we don't have those kind of outcomes, we have a lot of information in our, for at the end of the year, things of how many cases we've had, what the suspect ages were, how they were related, whether it be family. Like I said, I think the sexual abuse is the most common that we see, unfortunately. So that's kind of a rundown of the services that we provide. Last year we did 23 interviews for law enforcement in Fremont County. So it's kind of staying on track for the most. It's, you know, there's always an ebb and flow. Every once in a while, I think just recently we thought Commerce County was dwindling, and then the very next day we had a call to have 3 interviews within that same week. So it was just kind of funny. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but I had reached out to them to make sure everything was going okay. And it turned out they just hadn't had any cases for a while. But that's one thing I always ask for feedback, and if there's anything as a community you guys need help with. I've been traveling to Rollins a little more frequently this year. I was just there a couple weeks ago to help provide some information on recognizing child abuse and how to report it. So we've teamed up. They've asked us to come in and do some trainings for the adults, and we're more than happy to do those kind of things as well. Do you have any questions?
It appears not.
No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate your support and consideration in our request.
Any questions from staff?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Time. Mia, you going to present something? I believe Eagle Hope Transition Housing is up next. No one here? Oh, there we are.
I'm short too. Good evening, council members. My name is Amber Franks. I am a certified addictions practitioner, but my role with Eagles Hope is the president of our board of directors. We have developed a board of diversified volunteer members with backgrounds in corrections, religion, transitional living, medical, financial, and substance abuse. We are very mindful of our expenses and limit our staff to focus on our residential needs for the facility. With that, we have a lot of volunteers that help to assist and are able to help our individuals who are returning from treatment for substance abuse, or returning and going to, often from substance abuse facilities, mental health facilities, but we also assist in the needs for individuals who are returning to society from prison. These individuals often experience difficulties in the housing availability because of their background. So this gives them an opportunity through the tools and resources that they've learned for their treatment needs to meet the housing needs in order to be able to show a renter that they're able to maintain stable living. We also work with individuals who have fixed income and have ongoing sobriety. Without our facility, you know, we're not a treatment provider, and we do experience things like, because of our zero tolerance policy for drugs and alcohol, we have to refer them to other places to go to maybe a residential treatment center. But I feel like we have had great community support with Department of Corrections, with probation and parole, injury prevention resources to help us to get those individuals into programs so that they can return, and when they're ready, we can focus on their housing needs. I just want to take a moment to introduce our Executive Director, Michelle Widmeyer, to do a presentation on who Eagles Hope is, or what Eagles Hope is.
Thank you, Councilman and Your Honor. Thank you for allowing me to come and share with you who we are and what we do and who we serve and the services we provide. Oops. Perfect. Thank you. So our mission statement. We are a faith-based nonprofit organization providing the opportunity for Fremont County residents to create and build new lives in order to transition back into their families and their communities. Clients acquire knowledge, skills, and guidance to access and utilize available services to become healthy, productive members of Fremont County. Eagles Hope Transitions provides a safe and sober living environment that allows all patrons to maintain dignity, respect, and develop long-term personal and financial stability. So the requirements to become a resident: the ability to obtain a job and sustain a low housing fee. Agree to follow Eagles Hope zero tolerance drug and alcohol policy. So one thing with our zero tolerance is they cannot leave and consume alcohol or drugs and come back. They can't even do it and then wait for it to get out of their system and come back. We have zero tolerance on or off site. So that is one thing we really strive to monitor. Agree to participate in required classes such as support sobriety, well-briety, and a variety of life skill classes. That includes budgeting, interviewing skills, resume writing, and being able to go out there and just teach them community service. We've had some fundraisers, and I didn't realize that you have to teach some of those personal skills and interpersonal of asking people and talking to people and maintaining conversation. And well-briety is we partner with Eastern Shoshone Recovery, and Ron Burton comes in twice a week, and he does well-briety with all of my residents. And well-briety is a Native American version of the 12 steps for recovery. Agree to follow Eagles Hope housing policies and procedures. Agree to follow center duties and chores. So they are required to do chores while they're there. Agree to be a productive member of the community by doing community service and giving back to those who support us. So the next data that I'm going to be sharing with you is from July 1st, 2018, and it's who we serve. So 63% of our individuals that we serve are Native American. This is based on 89 individuals that we've served since July 1st. 26 are Caucasian, which equals to 29%. 6 have been Hispanic, and 1% was African American. Based out of the same 89 individuals, we have served 27 individuals and 23 families. We have served, 57 adults, which make up 64% of our clientele. 32 of them have been children under age 18. So they come with their families. These children range from 0, I've had them born, living there, not there at the facility, but they were pregnant, had their babies, and brought them back to Eagles Hope. My youngest right now is 5 months old, and right now the oldest is 10, but I've had them from 0 to 16. So my current residents, I have 24 of them. 16 are adults. 8 are children, ages 5 months to 10 years old. These residents come from different institutions such as prison, jail, treatment, and mental health facilities. My services provided, again, since July 1st, we have provided 9,020 services. They include meetings such as AA, NA, Wellbriety, and several Bible studies from different churches that volunteer their time to come in and do Bible studies with my residents. Classes that are offered are financial management training, developing employment skills, and parenting classes. Once the resident comes in at the time of intake, they're given sheets, blankets, a pillow, and a hygiene kit. And the hygiene kit is a caddy or a Tupperware, which has toothbrush, toothpaste, floss, shampoo and conditioner, soap, body wash, deodorant, lotion, Q-tips, towel and a washcloth, face wash, and feminine hygiene products. So just your basics to help them get through, because many of my residents coming in, they don't have the necessities. So along with the meetings, they also get free laundry, 1 meal a day, hygiene and clothing, case management, referrals to other resources around town that can help them, and child care services. So let's talk about the success rate. I've had 30 successful transitions, which accounts for 35% of my residents. I've had 30 unsuccessful transitions. That means they were removed from the program. Many times, because Amber, as she has said, we're not a treatment facility. They may need more than what I can provide, and we refer them to other facilities. So, and that's okay. And 24 are still there. So my facility, we are located on Main Street, the corner of Main Street and North 8th West at the stoplight. We have 16 livable rooms. 10 are medium-sized rooms with a bathroom. Those go for $350. We have 3 bigger units for our families, and they are $450. We have 2 small rooms with a bathroom, and they're very small. They go for $275. We have 1 full-size apartment that has a bathroom and a kitchen. And then we have 4 rooms that need to be finished so that they too can be livable and rented out. We have a commons area where all the residents come in and they cook their food, they eat there, and that's where they have meetings. The units used to have kitchenettes, but they no longer do because we just found that people are not that tidy. And so we've removed those kitchenettes and they do everything in the commons area.
One of the living skills that we're working on is training for those things.
Yes.
Appropriate cleaning in the kitchen area, so that way it's monitored.
We have a pantry, and they're able to take things from that pantry and make dinner for themselves and their families. We have a family room with a TV and a DVD player. It has Netflix, Pandora. We're able to live stream church services on Sunday. We have a laundry facility. We also have 3 bathrooms, and one of the bathrooms has a shower inside the commons area. Our funding, we get a community service block grant. We get fees from the residents based from $275 to $450, depending on the size of the family. And then most of our donations comes from community donations from organizations and individuals, as well as fundraising projects. We're working on a couple fundraising projects this coming year. How will the funding be used? We're going to help serve residents in need of sober transitional housing, create and build new lives in order to transition back to their families and their community. We're going to provide needed maintenance in our resident rooms and upgrade our facility. And then supply food and basic necessities to our residents. And our ongoing needs. These are needs that we need all the time just to come through. Because our commons area is so big, cleaning supplies is a big thing that we often need. And then food. The majority of my residents are in recovery, and so they have given up drugs and alcohol, but one thing that they do is coffee. Coffee is a big thing. So I know I'm a coffee drinker, so I can even imagine, we go through coffee a lot. So that is one of our biggest staples. Toilet paper, paper towels, food, and then just your normal office supplies just to keep the place running. But I appreciate your time and consideration and letting me come up here and talk to you, and thank you for allowing that.
Thank you.
Have any questions? I'm wondering if you take donations of those items you just mentioned.
We do.
Yes.
We did a toilet paper drive. Which was really fun, but apparently some community members consider it optional. We were told it was a luxury. I'm like, I don't know what you use, but our residents, we are focusing on cleanliness and hygiene. So we thank them for their opinion, but we do try to do that. I do want to add that the block grant is only, it doesn't even cover Michelle's salary. So, and the rent expense doesn't, our money guy here, our treasurer, Bob, he would be glad to share that, when we're looking at our expenses every month, we're getting by from month to month. So any donations are welcome and greatly appreciated.
Kyle?
What percentage of your tenants are female?
I was going to add that up, and I didn't. A good percent. Because we have moms and their kiddos, so I would say right now most of my residents are females. If we need a number, let's say 75%.
Your Honor.
Good.
I think one of the big things that maybe is different between your organization and some of the others, you don't have some parent organization. No. This is an organization that started here, was started locally. I mean, even the name itself, I think, was after a local resident who, if he had had these services, would not have passed. I mean, that was the whole point. If I remember right, I think it was Dana Flint who was telling us that that's kind of what it was based on. And so I think that's one of the things maybe people need to know. This is an organization that was started to really help with the problems we have here specifically. So just something that maybe people don't realize. This isn't like a national organization that has a branch here. This was started locally to combat a local problem.
Thank you. And just kind of piggybacking on that, some of understanding recovery, because substance abuse is a big component. Usually individuals will go through treatment 7 times before they get it. And in between that, where are they getting their support before they get into places for treatment? Sometimes they feel like maybe they burn their bridges with other facilities and are afraid to go back to ask for help. And so they come to us, while they're looking for those needs.
Kyle?
Have you looked at, you say you have 4 units. Have you contacted Job Corps to see if you could get volunteers down there to straighten those out?
We probably could. It's a matter of financial supplies at this point in time. We actually have a church who is willing to come in and complete the project, but it's the money that we do not have to get the supplies. We did have an organization a year ago that came in and cleaned out the room, gutted them, and started on 2 of the rooms and did what they could. So funding is what is the limit on that.
Okay.
But we do actually, we have a Job Corps volunteer or intern who comes in. I had contracted for Job Corps a while back, and at that time that was something that we considered, but their jobs were pretty far out. But if that's something that the council would like to see, we would be happy to revisit that and reach for support from Job Corps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How successful are you at receiving the rent amounts that you've targeted there?
Now I'm a lot more successful. The population that we serve, a lot of them come to me and they don't have jobs. So that's one thing that we've really worked on, but they know that to live there, they have to pay rent. Most of my residents are working right now at the moment, but because they're trying to save, and they're not, a lot of them come from CAST or probation, so they have to pay court fees, and they have to, they have other obligations as well. So they may pay half and then half a couple weeks later. Yes, breaking it up. But we have those conversations, and I tell them in the real world, you may not have this opportunity.
And the idea for transitional living is it's a 2-year program. So it gives clients or our residents time to learn those skills, to manage their money. You know, we're looking at the nutrition factors, the cleanliness factors, and employment factors, and learning and recovery a lot of time, and learning how to balance all of those things on one plate.
Tim?
Sorry, just a quick thought. I mean, we have a lot of nonprofits here and a lot of people that provide a lot of services, and to a certain extent, some of it's repeated. For example, you mentioned parenting classes. Big Brothers Big Sisters also mentioned parenting classes. I'm sure that there's other people that do parenting classes. Just as a thought, a lot of these organizations, you know, communication and everything, maybe rather than having 3 different parenting classes on one night in Riverton, there could be some coordination, I suppose. I don't know if a lot of people are even familiar with Eagles Hope or know what you do. You might drive down the street and just see it, and so I think there's a certain amount of getting the word out about the mission and exactly what you're doing. And just as a completely unsolicited thought, with a lot of different nonprofit organizations, like we have the Fremont County Association of Governments, where we have all of the Fremont County governments meeting together and kind of, I was going to say plotting, that's probably not the best word, but planning and plotting, that's a good amount of it, and planning and coordinating. And I don't know that we really have an organization like that in Riverton, but we do have a lot of organizations that have different missions that intersect in a lot of different ways. So take that for what it's worth. Unsolicited thought.
Thank you, sir, and we really appreciate that. But the only deterrent to talk about the population we serve is limited transportation. So we have created a community for them to get those needs met.
Staff have any questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, ladies. We appreciate your time. Fremont County Good Samaritan Center, are you guys with us tonight?
Mouse is really fun to work with her. Hi, my name is Christine Grover, and I'm the director for the Fremont County Good Samaritan Center. Thank you guys for meeting with me tonight, and I'm excited to talk about our program and what all we do for the community, especially the city of Riverton. The center was founded in 1993 by the Casper Rescue Mission and has had many changes. However, the philosophy has remained the same: a hand up, not a handout. We strive to give our clients a safe place to get back up on their feet and into the community. Our successful clients' average stay is around 60 days. This gives them time to find work and then look for housing. Most of our clients stay for 30 days. However, some have had to stay for closer to 90 days in order to save the necessary funds to transition into their own rental units. All clients must meet the federal poverty guidelines for services. We typically house an average of 15 to 20 people in the summer and 5 to 10 in the winter months. In the spring, we see a small downshift of clients, which quickly changes depending on the weather. The warmer it is, the more clients we see. A service we provide to other community members who are not staying with us is the Emergency Food Assistance Program, which is through the Wyoming Food Bank of the Rockies. This free service provides our community members that are struggling with hunger and having enough food to feed their family members. We average anywhere from 30 to 65 families a month and hand out the USDA items to all families that meet the income guidelines or qualify for this program, based on other services that they are receiving. Most of the clients we see for this program are families with children and senior individuals that are in the city of Riverton. From July 1st, 2018 until March 31st of this year, we have provided 2,516 bed nights, 4,946 meals, 160 units of emergency clothing and hygiene kits, and 3,199 miscellaneous services, such as showers and case management, that are documented to all of our 111 individual clients that have stayed in our shelter for at least one night or more. We serve families as well as single adults, which make up the majority of our clients. Our clients average no less than 3 hours of doing one-on-one case management when they first arrive. There is live-in staff that works there from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. every day and on weekends. This is our only paid position other than myself. I work as the director and also the case manager. We refer our clients to different services throughout the city, including Wyoming Workforce Services, Department of Family Services, Wyoming Vocational Rehabilitation, the Riverton One-Stop Help Center, a variety of AA or sobriety groups, Volunteers of America Veteran Services, as well as many low-income housing units, realtors, and Eagles Hope Transition when our clients are ready to leave our facility. We try to help them find resources that are available in the community, and that way they know where they can have more support as they leave our facility. On our intake forms, our clients are asked to self-declare all their personal information, which often includes their basic demographics such as age, gender, race, and ethnicity. They are also asked about their education level, any disabilities or other special needs, such as a past history of domestic violence. All information is collected and then recorded with what the client has stated. With clients leaving shortly after receiving an income, we unfortunately are unable to report all of our successful clients, and being able to document what their income is upon leaving our program, where they found housing, or if they have qualified for programs that will continue to help assist them on the road to becoming active members within our community. All clients are encouraged to use these local resources once they have a permanent address and an income that helps provide the funding they need in order to become self-sustaining. Only a small portion of our clients are either not local or decide to leave our community after their emergency stay. Several of our clients end up moving in with family or friends to help offset the cost of rent, and some clients decide to room together after finding each other in our facility and becoming friends. 60% of our clients have no income when they first arrive at our facility. They have not had a job for an extended period of time and have been able to maintain their basic needs by relying on friends and family. Small amounts have an income that is from Social Security or another program such as public assistance or temporary aid to needy families or their tribal per capita payments. The majority of our clients that have food stamps have children. Very few come in with any kind of an employment, and it typically is what we have the clients focus on the first week that they come in.
For the first 7 days, clients are given an employment search log and asked to apply for 3 to 5 jobs a day. They are typically on foot in all weather conditions, with exceptions being made when the weather is too hazardous to be out in. It is during the first 7 days that clients will either leave or make an honest effort on whether or not they're serious about getting back up on their feet. And we like to see them use the next 7 days to follow up on any job applications and then point them to places that they might have missed and missed opportunities to follow up on. Most clients that are out every day putting in all of their applications are able to see job offers within the first 2 weeks. Special needs of our clients are often underrepresented, with clients doing their own reporting. I feel really comfortable in saying that all of our adult clients that come through our door have had some kind of substance abuse issues, especially with drugs and alcohol. Most of our clients have a history, and they often do not recognize this as being a problem, or they do not declare this history out of the stigma that comes from being an alcoholic or a drug user. All clients are given daily breathalyzers as well as random drug screenings when they first arrive to our facility. We require all clients to be using their time to make changes in their life that will keep them from reverting back to old behaviors and what's contributed to their current situation. We have often seen that this pattern includes that substance use and the environments that encourage this use. We would like to provide more support for our clients, and we'd like to extend our program to include groups such as AA, NA, and the Native American Lobriety Program within our facility that will be easily accessible to clients, and they will have established going to these groups and still be able to continue doing that once they have transitioned out of our facility. There's also a significant amount of mental health issues that are not reported. Most of our clients only report mental health issues if they are currently on disability for their mental health. We spend a significant amount of more time trying to work with individuals that are dealing with their mental health and are often either undiagnosed or not currently being treated. And a lot of that is due to their financial situation or the lack of availability to programs to help address their mental health needs. Due to their situation, we often are unable to find the help needed for clients with severe and chronic mental health problems. And they end up back out on the streets, in jail, or find a friend or family member that they can stay with. We try to refer them to other agencies, and when that, you can't really make adult decisions, and so a lot of times they end up back kind of in the same situation that they were in. When we do have somebody that has a lot of mental health needs, we're spending at least 20 hours a week just making referral calls and trying to find places and resources that are available to them. Most of our clients are living with friends or family and doing what is referred to as couch surfing. Many of these clients leave either due to being tired of going from one place to another, or they are trying to work on their sobriety. The next highest living situation are those who are non-housed, meaning they are staying somewhere not meant for habitation, such as a car, an abandoned home or building, or just walking around after being kicked out of their private home and were in the streets for a night. We also consider the Set Free Church program as being a substance abuse treatment facility within our community because of their criteria of people having to have some kind of an addiction in order to stay in their program and how they try to address that. A small percentage of clients are coming from the local jail or are fleeing a domestic violence situation and are willing to state that is the reason they are currently homeless. We've had less referrals from the hospital and transitional housing than in prior years, and I believe this is a lot of seeing fewer clients because of our zero tolerance policy on drugs and alcohol and the regulations that we have to abide by because we need to be keeping our clients and our staff safe. Last year when I was here, we talked about installing a security system and a camera system, and that is up and running very well, and that has been very effective on combating some of the problems we were having with clients. And we stress to all clients that they are on camera and they are expected to be back by a curfew. And we want to be able to provide the safest environment possible with the resources we have for our residents that are in the community. With the City of Riverton's help, we are able to provide these services as well as the Community Service Block Grant, the Fremont County Commissioners, and other small grants from different businesses throughout our community. We also receive monetary donations from businesses and community members that help sustain our program. We rely on donations of food, clothing, paper products, and volunteer hours to help our clients and our organizations succeed. With the changes not only in our community, but with standards for federal and state funding, we see change needing to take place within our program to meet the demands of the community as well as other funding opportunities. We are looking to see what works well in other communities and figure out how best to address the changes necessary to continue providing these services in our area. I look forward to taking the next year to make the needed changes to better serve our area's needs and bring about the changes necessary for our community to continue helping our citizens become self-sufficient. We want to continue providing them with a hand up, not a handout. Thank you for seeing me tonight and being able to share what I do every day and for everything that you guys help us to achieve in the community. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Staff?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your time. Injury prevention resources.
This little mouse here is a little
First off, Mayor Guard, councilmen and women, thank you so much for having me. Do you mind if I take a moment on a personal note prior to speaking of business? Thank you.
Please.
Mr. Bill Eberkite, who served this council for many, many, many years, his birthday would have been tomorrow. As you all know, he's passed. So my wife asked me to bring down a bunch of treats for pay it forward type of situation for Bill. And so I did tell her, I'm like, do you understand how this looks? I'm coming to the council with treats and my children because she's out of town. Yeah, she understood. She didn't care. Yeah, that's the big gig in what those are about. I couldn't stand up here and not mention that man who I know meant a lot to the city and personally meant a lot to us. And so thank you for letting me take a moment. I'm Noel Cooper, Executive Director of Injury Prevention Resources. I have two constituents here, Mr. Gabriel Cooper and Mr. Zayden Cooper. I'll stand up and stand there for about an hour. They've been quite well behaved. They are actually some of my best constituents when it comes to my job, honestly, because they do talk to other kids about seatbelts and child car seats, and I've actually seen my little boy encourage little kids to use boosters and stuff like that. And so it's not a paid position, unfortunately for them, but they get fed out of it, so they're pretty happy. But I think most of you guys know the gist of what we do and are fairly familiar with our programs. We're 501c3. We are dedicated to saving lives on roads. We cover Fremont County and do some work in Sweetwater County. But of course, statistically, this is the area we need to be in, and so that's where the bulk majority of our time is spent. Our biggest goal of saving lives is just some really easy principles, and it's wear a seatbelt, don't drive impaired, don't drive distracted, put kids in car seats. And we do work on the pedestrian side a little bit, when the opportunities present themselves. So I really kind of wanted to skip through some of my slides here and get to some of the data that we have and just a quick overview of a few of our programs. So some of our main program areas are depicted up on the screen. You'll see that there's a list of some other things we do at the end as well. But our agency gets to operate and are happy to operate here. And we get to work on prevention and intervention and essentially post-vention, if you will, use that term. And it's just been really incredible to be able to work and do what we do and continue to provide the programs that serve a lot of Riverton residents and a lot of Fremont County residents. Has been really fantastic. We are primarily grant funded, as many of you know, and so that's why my hair's gray. Not an easy, not easy grants to work on, as Ms. Borders can attest to. There's a lot to it, but we know the value is incredible, and we also know that we get to see and have seen incredible positive changes in DUI statistics and seatbelt statistics. And so we'll run through some of our program areas, our main program areas real fast, and go over some service that and some numbers that actually start back to the beginning of the agency. We run a DUI supervised probation program ordered by local courts to follow the program. Everybody who comes into our program does 60 days of BAC testing morning and night. Never a free pass on that. You know, you can mess one up without us making you restart them, but if you start to miss the BAC testing, then you restart your 60 days. After completion of the 60 days, you know, they start a random drug and alcohol testing system that runs for an additional 90 days during their time, the beginning of their time on probation with us. We continue random UAs throughout the remainder. We do additional requirements for people that are non-compliant with their terms of probation. Our biggest goal is to work with them as much as we can before we have to send them back into the court system. We do pretty successful with it. Usually on any given month, you know, we have right around 5 to 10 people that are going back in front of the court for violations, while we have another 90 to 100 that are, you know, successfully navigating through the program. So over the last 13 years of doing our DUI supervised probation, we've had 1,635 clients served. The probation terms usually last anywhere from 1.5 years to 3 years, depending on, you know, of course, their performance while on probation of following the rules. 67% successfully complete, and we have a 7% recidivism rate. So we're getting a really good amount of people that are completing, and luckily we're not getting a lot of people back on the DUI probation program. Our DUI monitoring program, again, clients ordered by local courts to follow the program. We've actually had recently some individuals reach out to us. One of them was a Department of Family Services case, and the person individually paid and wanted to prove that they were sober as they were working towards getting custody of their kids. So we have some private pay for this DUI monitoring program. The program itself, you know, right at the very bottom there, it's pretty summed up with, we have bracelets that go on that can detect if you've been consuming alcohol. We have remote breathalyzer units that are, you know, carried in hand, and people can blow into those up to 12 times a day if that's what the court, you know, would like. But typically they do 2 times a day testing. And then we're also using GPS units for individuals with a DUI history or a history of DUI as well. Needless to say, those guys were in some pretty deep trouble for the GPS unit to be on your ankle. So, but we do utilize it, and you know, our hope is that it can help alleviate. I mean, first off, keep the person productive instead of being in jail, and then we hope that we can utilize them to alleviate jail costs too, when the times present themselves. Past 7 years of DUI monitoring, we've served 258 clients. 92% have successfully completed this program. It's not to say they didn't have a violation, but 92% of them complete without us having to send them back to the court. We only had 7 out of the 258 clients return to our agency after they had successfully completed. One of our absolute most long-standing programs that was here long before me would be our adult alcohol education program, formerly known as Victim Impact Panel. Local courts, tribal court, drug courts, almost anybody with a DUI comes into this course. It's usually about an hour-long course. When we try to get speakers. Not an easy thing to ask somebody to stand in front of a group and depict how a family member got killed from a DUI. But we have a few really good speakers that come, and they speak to those that are convicted of the DUI, and just kind of give them the story of how an impaired driver has impacted their life. 27 years as this program's been going. 324 times we've had the event. 11,612 people attending. Roughly 25% of Fremont County's population has attended this course over 27 years. That is a duplicated number, so I only hope to God it wasn't actually 25% of our county that has had to go through this course. But I think everyone knows that education and attitudes towards drinking and driving has certainly changed in our area over the years. So that's our big, long-standing one. Every other month we conduct this class, and it is, we ask a fee from those that are court-ordered, but it is open to the public for anybody else. And so I highly suggest anybody who has a teenager or anybody who's had a history of impaired driving come and listen to an hour worth of the course. And I think it really hits home and tends to change your mind before you drink and get behind the wheel. Car seat inspections and distributions. 10 years of that program running has turned out a little over 1,000 car seats inspected, nearly 1,000 distributed. And within our agency, we found 86% of the car seats that came to us were misused. Not that the kid was upside down in the seat or, something like that. It wasn't, a lot of them are not that drastic. But the child car seats are, it's a 40-hour course, as Ms. Borders knows, a 40-hour course to be certified as a child car seat technician. I'm one of the instructors for the state. There's a lot to them. I don't know if anyone in the room has recently tried to put in a child car seat, but when you start getting through that manual, you're just about to just put a ratchet strap around that thing before you're finished with it. So they are misused very frequently, and our biggest goal is to get them exactly installed the way that they are tested in the factories. So it's a huge service that we absolutely love. We get to see so many different kids through. One of the programs that I enjoy a lot. The Life Are You Ready program is actually coming up here in a couple weeks. We target Fremont County 6th graders, and it is a high-risk decision educational event. Essentially, we have every 6th grader in Fremont County coming with the exception of Lander, St. Stephen's, and Wyoming Indian. And we had reached out and had attempted to get them on board as well, but they either declined or did not respond. But every other 6th grader in the county for Fremont comes to this event, and they enter in down at the fairgrounds into the armory, into a simulated party scenario where there's some peer pressure and stuff like that. Law enforcement are incredibly helpful, along with a lot of volunteers. They come in, they kind of bust the party up, and then from there they split out into groups, and they go to a courtroom scene, a jail scene, a mortuary scene, a crash scene with a rollover demonstration unit that shows what happens in a rollover, and an emergency room scene. From there, they switch buildings and they go through a disabilities station, a suicide prevention station, a safe to tell or anti-bullying station, and Guardian Life Flight brings their helicopter down. We usually get an ambulance and a fire truck there as well for them to gain familiarity with. And so, again, one of my favorite events. It's really a good time. Our prevention needs assessments showed that between 6th and 7th grade in Fremont County are the highest percentages for kids trying alcohol for the first time and drugs. So yeah, strap that one on into your brain. So we got kids that are starting young, and I guess our biggest goal is to get them in and give them a little understanding of what this is, so they can make educated decisions when they start to encounter all these real situations that some of them are already facing, all the way through suicide and bullying. So that one is coming soon. All right. Program numbers. We also help with the Sweetwater County Life Are You Ready? And it is really great because I kind of get to show up and smile and wave. They have such a good program, very well organized down there. And, we just, again, a very minimal amount of time I spend doing it because it's been operating as it has been for so many years. And so, but for the Fremont County side, we've had 2,490 students go through this program in 6 years, 1,560 volunteers involved. We also do, our final piece here is our Road Warrior high visibility enforcement events. We have a kind of a pretty big span in here, and that is a lot of different, you guys will see the crash cars that we place throughout town. We also are starting to get into schools and back, thank God it's warmish, kind of, into community events where we can get people outside. Everything in there we really try to bring everything we have. We have an impaired driving go-kart. We have a rollover demonstration unit that Highway Patrol lets us utilize. We don't have it, they do. They also have a seatbelt convincer that's out in front of my work there at Broadway, North Broadway 303 there. And it simulates a 5-mile-an-hour crash, essentially. We have a desktop computer that can do impaired and distracted driving with a wheel and pedals. So we have a lot of different really great things that can actually show people what exactly it is and what type of roadway safety we're looking for, instead of just listening to me tell them about it. So it works out really great in that regard. Other programs this is nearly the last slide. Other programs that we do, Prime for Life early intervention class. It's not a 0.5 level of treatment, but it's a precursor to that. We've actually been working with the casino to get some of their employees through that program, and people that have been ordered to it. We've had some people voluntarily attend. Gift of a Mother's Love car seat program. First baby born on Valentine's Day or Mother's Day gets a child car seat, and we do just a press release in media. Kind of give them a big gift pack with all the stuff, and just kind of really, educate relevant to child car seats via the love that a child deserves and receives. You'll see my stupid face on the TV every once in a while. You will see County 10s on there every once in a while. Ooh, that slid right by. Fantastic. We do a big highway pedestrian safety jamboree out at the Wind River Indian Reservation, alternating every year between Ethity and Fort Washakie powwow grounds. That one's huge. We have a lot of different partners, including U.S. Probation and the Tribal Transportation Authority. Bless you. Thank you. And so last year, I think, was over 600 people. And so just that one big event is filled with all kinds of safety stuff. I mentioned the simulators. We do Seatbelt Survivor Awards, when we can find the people for it, but try to depict, that positive side of surviving a crash with a seatbelt on versus the other side. We do public safety rodeos and Safe Kids Days, getting kids helmets and, teaching them how to ride bikes safely, and teaching them when they need to have helmets and all of that part too. And then we also do helmet distribution out of our office. Anyone who needs a multi-sport helmet can come in and we'll fit them. We ask a $5 donation, and so pretty big on protecting brains. The one slide I didn't have here that I really wish I did was our DUI stats for the last few years. We've gone from 2012 to last year. We've decreased DUIs in this county by 68%. So we were looking at, almost 500 a year down to like the high 100s to low 200s for DUIs. Now, that's an amazing thing because the amount of people that are dying on our roads has stayed either consistent or dropped during that time period. So we know that enforcement's out there. We have less people that are getting seriously injured and dying on our roads. Matter of fact, last year was the first time in 9 years that we didn't have a DUI homicide in Fremont County. And as of right now, knock on wood, we haven't had a single roadway death in the county this year. Typically, we sit around 10 to 15 a year. And so, I really hope that momentum continues. We do a lot of things, as you can tell, with 5 of us. The $5,000 is huge for us. You guys know the grant world's very convoluted and complicated as far as what it will and won't pay for. And so being able to just have that amount of money to continue what we do and trying to make the impact in the county is very, very helpful and incredibly appreciated.
Thank you. Any questions? No, thanks for your time. I was at a meeting earlier today that he was at and giving the statistics with Goaty Beers and Wyodot crew, and it's amazing what your program's done over the years, so
Thank
we
you.
do appreciate it. About 8 years ago, I was sitting here in this same capacity, and Noel took the mic, and I kept remembering this young man that I coached baseball with the same name, but the guy I
Does that
knew
make you feel?
is the size of the guys you brought with you. And so I was a little surprised to put the two names together, but it's nice to have your efforts on our behalf, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so
Any
much.
questions from none? Staff, any?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Bailey suggests that we take a break, so let's take a break and be back in 5 minutes at 15:02. And at that time, we'll go to pause.
What's that?
Let's hold those snacks.
Yeah.
Well, anybody that drinks.
Because I'm hungry.
We need to fund it 90% from alcohol consumption.
Yeah. Sure.
You know what the tax is on beer? In the state for a gallon? 4%.
I didn't know. Like,
Nothing.
in fact, I moved some over, then I moved them back.
I'd say
I
80%.
don't know. None of them are home runs, and the one person that has experience.
Public service, the result of alcohol and drug abuse.
Maybe he wants to move to Riverton.
Y'all do have that common factor?
Maybe. No.
Pause, I reckon.
Yeah, it depends on what.
Well,
That's where it's like,
we'll say.
I mean, the one person probably
He made.
matches from
He made a good
experience.
point.
It's an easy choice to interview.
We just need to start working together. Join.
The others are just
We had to
I don't know.
line and focus. And
It's hard to make that selection because you're like,
A lot of
this person would be great in an interview.
well,
They look
I don't care if it saves anything, but if it enhances their programs.
Yeah.
I wanted to save money.
That's tough. I was gonna start looking at some of the seasons to see if there were any worse, just to be out of curiosity.
See,
We should probably stand up for the rest of this. I better get a soda before it's too late.
for so long. Community.
Yeah, I agree.
No, it was. Every time you see me, say, hey, they're traveling.
Where is Wallace?
Yeah, I know. I bet they did get involved. We need everything. Come on, Wes. Come on. Come on, be a man.
Drinking responsibly.
Oh, come on.
Gets a bad rap. It's the 5% that causes the 95% of the problem.
Especially if everybody else grabs. It's better to have, to eat good food in good company.
What we got there?
There's 3 macaroons left. These are really, really good. Fun things.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, you could do that too. Come on, I know you get a lot of steps in. You need to keep your strength up. The lemon bars are good.
But you're so good at it.
Thanks.
Ears open and mouth shut, you learn a lot more.
I thought Tim was gonna hoard those and take them home.
I'm I'm sure they would, probably pretty fast.
Ravishing horde, right? Visit my house, it's like, where to get it when you want it.
There's one thing I can safely say about my children.
Watch my girlish figure.
That I have done right. They will eat just about anything.
Good.
Especially Katerina. She especially likes meat. She
Meat
wanders
eater?
over to neighbors' houses for their barbecue. It's like,
I smell something good going on over here, right?
Was that Tony's house?
that was Tony's house.
That child has eaten an entire rack of ribs. I've seen it. I've observed it.
How old is she?
Katarina's 12.
Okay.
But it's always nice to have your cooking appreciated, and
Yeah.
when I grill, she appreciates.
Everybody's got
Cinnamon jalapeno thing going on there. It's weird.
Let other people have one. Then you like,
Let's reconvene if we could, please. And pause, would we be able to hear from you guys?
Your Honor, council members, good evening. My name is Pamela Canham, and I am the board chairman for Paws For Life. This is Gina Gladman, who is our shelter manager. And we wanted to, I mean, you obviously have a good bit of information on the shelter. What I wanted to do, what I will talk about tonight, and then I'll turn it over to Gina to get into more of the shelter details. I wanted to give you an idea of some of the things that aren't listed in our presentation that you have been given. I guess first of all, though, how many of you are familiar with what the shelter was prior to Paws taking over? Every Friday, every animal was euthanized. Puppy, kitten, old dog, didn't matter if they were adoptable or not, they were put down. We are now a no-kill shelter. No-kill shelter means that we do not euthanize for space. The only time we will euthanize an animal is if they are too ill to humanely keep alive, too ill or injured, or if they are so aggressive that it would be irresponsible of us to adopt them out into the community. Back in 2015, we had a very pleasant surprise one day in the mail. We were totally unaware of the fact that the Mutt Nation Foundation, which is a rescue foundation that was founded by Miranda Lambert, had an initiative going called 50 Shelters, 50 States. It was nothing you could apply for. They did all the research. Long story short, Paws For Life was the shelter from Wyoming that was chosen. And that came along with a check, which was really nice. So we have worked very hard and have achieved, obviously, national recognition with this. We have worked very hard to integrate into the community with projects of ours. We have our Honor Dog program. Not sure how many are familiar with that, but the Honor Farm will take 4 of our dogs for 8 weeks. And they go through basic obedience training. They are crate trained, leash trained, potty trained. They go through some agility training. So when they come out, we've taken all the work out of it for you. And actually, our very first Honor Dog graduate, Quigley, is living the good life with the Broadheads at the moment. He was our first adoption to them. And again, the Honor Dog program received national recognition. PBS did a 30-minute special on the program. We work with Northwest Battle Buddies out of Washington State. It was started there. Their trainer lives in Powell, I believe. And 5 of our dogs are now working service dogs for veterans. He comes down, gets the right candidates, takes them, trains them, and then they are matched with a service veteran that needs that therapy dog. And that's something that we are really very proud of, that our guys can qualify for that. And a lot of that is due to the staff that we have. We have a phenomenal staff. One of the things, too, that we really try and do, and I know that youth is a focus for the council, as it should be. Kids and pets, you know, they go together. And we do a lot with the youth in this community. Gina can tell you how many volunteers we have come through the shelter on a weekly basis from every school in Riverton. We have kids, and it's so sweet. We have kids that come in with pennies that they have collected to donate to the shelter. Girl Scout troops, Boy Scout troops, 4-H, just kids that love animals. So we really have an opportunity. We have T-shirts that are made up for our kid volunteers that they can proudly wear as a volunteer at the shelter. We are also going to be reinstituting an education program within the schools this coming fall to go in with an animal and teach kids how to be responsible pet owners. Being a responsible pet owner affects a lot of different areas in your life besides your pet. It teaches responsibility, it teaches compassion, and we really want to make sure that the youth in this community grow up to be the kind, loving, compassionate people that we all want them to be. And we feel that this is part of that. Obviously, we keep stray dogs off the street. It's a safety issue for the residents of this county, that you don't have stray dogs out there with kids riding their bikes or, I mean, and certainly things happen. We all know that. We've seen it in the paper. But the incidence has been minimized by doing that. We also, we want to thank the high school, because not only have we given the high school auto mechanic class an opportunity to learn, they're fixing our van. So it's kind of a two-way street. We were in dire need of some maintenance and some repair on our van, and Andy Bradshaw, who is a teacher at the high school and also another board member, went, oh, we can do that at the high school. And so it gives them an opportunity to learn skills, and it certainly helps us out, because unfortunately, I've sat here tonight and I have listened to the different presentations, which have been wonderful, and I keep hearing grant, and having been the director of the Fremont County Association of Governments for 20 years and written buku grants in my life, that is one of the challenges that we have at the shelter. We do get a few grants, but we are a small rural community in the middle of a lightly populated state. We don't have a PetSmart, we don't have a Petco, we don't have a Target. We don't have the opportunity to give some of these organizations that give grant money that big bang for their buck. So it is a challenge for us to go up against the big guys. we continue to do it, and we have had success. We do get a grant from Purina every year, not in the form of money, unfortunately, but, you know, if they send us a pallet of kitty litter, we're happy, and dog food, because the question was asked earlier, you know, do you take donations of your things that you need? We have a wish list on our Facebook page and on our website. We always take donations of supplies for the shelter, and we so appreciate them. As you know, we are constantly fundraising. I'm not quite sure that there's any other organization in town that does as many fundraisers as we do, but it's a labor of love. It's a passion for us. We want to see this shelter continue to be the success that it is, and it takes money and it takes fundraising. We have gone to sources that we hope will not cost people extra money. So the next time you all shop on Amazon, do it with Amazon Smile and pick Paws as your charity. Or shop with igive.com. That will give you a list of thousands of retailers, and we're talking big ones, the ones that have the names that all of us recognize. And if you go to those retailers' websites through igive.com, we get a percentage of whatever you purchase. So we are trying to do things that are not going to cost people extra money, because we understand that the economy is still struggling. It is still trying to make its way back up there. That being said, I'm going to let Gina talk to you about the really important part of the shelter, and that's the critters.
Good evening. As she said, I'm the shelter manager. I take care of, oversee all the intakes that come in through the city of Riverton, the Fremont County Sheriff's Office, and then the strays that people drop off. We do have a kennel staff. Right now we have 5 employees that are part-time, and then we also utilize volunteers. We also work with community service. We have people that need to pay fines, so we do work with them, and they come in and they help us. The hard part about that is that by the time they're done with their 10 hours or their 30 hours and they've just gotten good at it, they're done. So we do give them that opportunity. We, like Pamela said, we focus on our youth. I'm going to take a day in May and I'm going to go visit the middle school. I've guessed they've done a volunteer day that they've established in their curriculum. So I just go and I spend a day talking to the English language arts groups about different ways they can help utilize fundraising for the shelters. You know, we've had doggy washes set up at at the
Fast and Furious.
Yes, the Fast and the Furious. We had bake sales where they've raised money for the shelter and brought it down. And then also just fun volunteering opportunities where they come down and they get to spend the day with me, and they do everything. They wash dogs, they clean litter boxes, we are glorified pooper scoopers. So pooper scooping and graveling, that's what we do. And then also just teaching them just basic skills, just the proper care of a pet. The dog bite incidents have arose the last 6 months of just learning the proper behavior on approaching critters is really important. So teaching those things, and like Pamela said, we like to get back into the schools and just work with them just a little. It's just something we should all be aware of. So, but yep, we usually get anywhere between 700 to about 900 critters a year in our little shelter. And so we utilize resources. We transfer out as often as we can. We work with rescue groups, Northwest Battle Buddies. We work with Jackson Animal Adoption Center. We send to Black Dog Animal Rescue. We send down into Utah, anywhere that we can move some of our critters out, because I was talking to somebody, I don't know 700 people that want an animal. So if we can send them outside our community where they have a better chance to be adopted, we certainly try that. So, and then we work closely with Becky Weber and just work with her and her cases and follow up on when we get animal abuse claims, we make sure we send them on to either Becky or to the sheriff's office. So we work with that and just try to help that way too. So we also work in domestic violence cases where they need help getting their critter so they can safely leave, because as you know, oftentimes they won't leave if they have pets at home. So we've been working with some of that with different organizations in Fremont County. So just trying to give that an option. So.
And I would like to compliment the city on your animal control officer. Becky is wonderful. This week is National Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week, and we greatly appreciate her. She does an amazing job. She's awesome.
Ladies, you also have another member with you that was just shoved you up to the front of the room, but you might want to introduce him.
Yeah. This is Ken Moss, who is our treasurer and financial guru for the board. He has been on the board almost as long as I have. I've been on the board since we started. I think Kent got roped in about a year later, but.
Well, thank you. Is there any questions?
Thank you so very much for giving us an opportunity to,
Staff, any
to speak
questions?
to you. Oh.
No, you're under. Thank you.
And thank you for giving us Councilwoman Schatza as our liaison. She's been delightful and wonderful, and she's there at every meeting, and we appreciate that very, very much.
Treat her good, because we'll take her back if you don't.
No, you can't have her back.
You guys work very, very hard for the animals in the community, so, and I've seen that firsthand, so it's very, very impressive.
Labor of love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill and I shared a birthday.
R for Rec. Now, here's a real fun organization.
I think you guys are the real troopers tonight. Holy smokes, this is awesome. How do I make this big? Oh, it is big. Okay. What I'm presenting on the slideshow, if you guys want a copy of this, this is not what I submitted. I started thinking about when Mia sent out the notice about if you wanted a presentation, get it to her. I was like, yeah, we should probably do that. So you guys don't have a copy of anything that's up here tonight, and I kind of took more of a statistical approach up here. So if you'd like it, I can send it to whomever to get it to you guys. So you guys are all familiar with our rec, so I won't burden you with all of this. And our mission statement is one long run-on sentence, which aren't they all? So I just want to focus on the first part of it. Our mission is to strengthen our community, enrich the lives of all Riverton residents. So it's really neat to see everybody here. I feel like we're a little bit unique in that we serve all members of our community. And we've been identified, I think, and I'm so gracious, and it's such an honor to be well known as the social and economic piece of Riverton. We connect people in our community to other people in our community and organizations, and it's such an honor to be, I feel so lucky. Registration numbers, these are a little bit deceptive. I always like to give these to you guys for the past year. So 2018, we served through our programming 4,056 community members, but I forgot to include the ice skating rink, which we estimate to be another 1,500 based on the revenue that we got there. We had over 300 class offerings, and then in addition to that, Summer Academy that we run in the months of June is a completely separate program funded by District 25 Rec Board. And last year we had 109 classes and had 1,300 students. One of the cool things that I love is on the CWC website, the link to our recreation is the most often clicked link, other than, the people who hit the CWC site, then they go to our recreation. So I think that's really cool. this is really important to me. And Rich, I think you may have been the only person involved way back when. Here's the history of the recreation component of Riverton. In 2006, I'm not sure if it started in 2006, but I know it was 2006, 2007, and the first half of 2008. The city of Riverton funded a recreation department, and it was roughly $300,000. For some reason, $346,000 is what sticks in my mind, but I'm not sure if that's accurate. So for the sake of argument, let's just say $300,000. A lot of the groups that you guys heard from tonight, I think, Tim, you mentioned it, are governed by a governing body. The city of Riverton is recreation's governing body. We aren't, you are our funder. And in 2008, it was in the fall of 2008. So for the next fiscal year, we were funded $145 in 2008. So we went 8 years. We did not ever request an increase, and we didn't ever ask for increase in funds, even though our programming, which you'll see on the next slide, continued to increase. 2016, we took a 10% reduction for fiscal year 17, and then fiscal year, and that one was tough, but you'll see our numbers. We sustained ourselves that time. This last one crippled us. And so what we're hoping is that you guys can restore some of that funding and find a nice medium somewhere in there. The budget that you guys have in your packets are our actual numbers. So that is what I have submitted to our business office, Central Wyoming College's business office, as our 2020 budget. And so you'll see that after salaries and benefits, this reduction left us with $110. And $110 don't cover our brochures, doesn't cover our copy costs, doesn't cover our phones, it doesn't cover much. So we are strapped. We do have revenue, of course, which is reflected in there from our programs, but I'll get to that in a second. So by the numbers, and this is really fascinating to me. And when I actually looked at this, and I need to show you guys really quick that I didn't make this up, I have exhibits A, B, and C. And 2019, so D is not released yet. So I didn't make these numbers up. 2008 was the last year that the city recreation department had their programming. This was their brochure. I went through it. They had over $300,000. They had 10 programs. I'm not exaggerating, you can look, 10 programs. But the cool thing was, in addition to those 10, they had 6 out trips, and out trips are super cool, something we've never been able to do. And then the community information is additional programming, information that they included in their brochure, and they had 33 contacts for that. So then I took a couple years, we took it over in the fall of 2008, so in 2011, you can see there, $145,000. We had 34 programs in the summer, and I just used a summer because that's our biggest recreational season, and then 83 summer academy classes and 20 community information, additional things. Then last year at $130,000, we had 50 programs, so we continued to increase even with reduced funds, 109 summer academy classes and 22 additional community informations. And then you'll see this summer, we're really happy that we were able to do 30 programs, and that was a stretch for us. We've had to be really creative in what we could offer and what we couldn't offer. And a lot of programs that we've done in the past, we had to put on the chopping block. And Summer Academy's a little bit smaller this year with 97 classes. That's funded through a different grant. You'll see on our budget, Summer Academy comes in and goes out. And so those funds are used for this. And that's a facility related thing. But the big thing, which I'll get to in a second also, is you'll notice our community information. That's the area we had to cut out. And that's everybody else in our community, aquatic centers, anything else recreation related, that's what we had to remove to make our brochure smaller. So we have 11 community information. So this is an important slide to me. It gives you a good visual of what it really looks like on our end. Funding impact, there were 3 areas that were significant, and I'll go through this quickly. Our brochure, we reduced with $110, we budgeted $10,000 for our brochures. They actually cost about $9,000 75. I'm amazed at how good my budgeting is. I'm actually always really close to what it actually is. But we eliminated the additional community opportunities. We reduced our print copies from 7,000 brochures to 2,500, and those go to the schools and the chamber. And that's about it. We took out, what we did reduce was we discontinued inserting it in the Ranger to their subscription base is what that extra was there. We cut out 8 pages from our fall brochure last year to our fall brochure this year. We cut out 8 pages of our spring, and then this summer we cut out 10 pages of our summer brochure. So this was the nice thick one last year. It's 10 pages smaller this year. We don't have the money to pay for it. Actually, I'm getting that from 6 months of not hiring a second person. The disappointing thing to me here is that we did discontinue inserting it in the Ranger, and we had to go outside of Fremont County. So the funds you give us are now leaving Fremont County to be printed from an external printer that's less expensive. And that's hard. The Ranger called me and said, "What's up with that?" And I was like, sorry, we weren't an unhappy customer. It was a necessity. So that's disappointing. Our youth programming, we have to now going forward base all of our programs on a fee-based structure. So the registration fee, with $100 extra in our budget, the registration fee has to cover the expenses of the coach and supplies. For an example of how unrealistic that is for some of our programs, our 5th and 6th grade Playmaker basketball, that's the one I chose to showcase. Currently we charge $50, which is a lot. That's expensive for a youth program in Riverton. And in order for us to fully cover the coaching fees and the referee costs, which I was at a athletic directors meeting this week, and they just increased the the ref pay by $15 per ref per game, which is $30 a game, and we do 2 games. And so I'm like, it'd be more than $120. So in order for us to pay for the program on a fee-based, we'd have to charge each participant $120. Do you know how many kids we'd get participating in our 5th and 6th grade basketball at $120? None. So that's one of those ones that it just shows you how we just can't make it work. Another one, skating rink. We had an awesome season. We opened December 22nd. You guys probably haven't forgotten that we were open until mid-February. It was so stinking cold. We had 6 college students and high school students that staffed it. That was down from 11 in the past. We hosted quite a few community events and groups. We had to charge some of those groups a user fee, which we haven't done in the past. We decreased the operational hours from 62 hours a week to 48 during Christmas break, and then from 24 to 12 after Christmas break. And that was just to make sure our revenues balanced with our expenditures. We have, the key to the success of this program without a rec center, of course, has been utilizing the resources we have in our community, and those partnerships are crucial. And these were just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. There are so many partners that we work with, people who have their own facilities, so we operate a program out of their facility and return some of the revenue to them. The big thing here to me is, where do we go from here? What does Riverton want to do from here? We don't have a rec center? No problem. Let's make it work. We already have for how many years, and it works. And I have some notes I wrote about here. I need to look at them real quick to make sure I don't forget anything. Not having a rec center in Riverton, we're uniquely positioned in our state. The arrangement we have here is very unique, and it works. And when we go to the recreation conventions in the state, I look at their brochures and I think, this is all you guys got, and you have 14 people on staff? Are you kidding me? I'm not impressed. But I think we do a great job, and I think we're really blessed in Riverton to have the partners that we have. I know your master plan is in the works right now. The one thing I'd like you to think about is, where is the value of recreation? The master plan is translating those community values and the vision for a viable community, what role does recreation play in that? I mean, to me, it's huge in drawing in new families and keeping the young families that we have. We have to have these opportunities and offerings to them. And, you know, I think, what are your goals for the future, and are we a part of that? And I hope that the answer is yes. So that's my presentation.
Any questions?
Any questions that I feel like I see you guys all the time. Is there anything I can answer?
Your Honor, I just want to say something.
Please.
Mary's always saying thank you to everybody else, but I hope people know what Mary does for our community besides what she does at our rec. The amount of time that she puts in after hours and on the weekends, in the early morning hours and late night hours.
No early morning hours.
It is too, because you've messaged me at early morning hours. It's very impressive what she does, and with our rec, I think it's important to know, as she said in the very beginning, but I want to say it again, that it literally affects every single person in this community, whether they're a child or they're an adult, whether they're elderly or they're a teenager. It really does affect everybody. I know the first summer I came home, I did dance classes up at the college, put on by our rec, very inexpensive too. And then the summer classes that you provide are free to children.
The Summer Academy is.
The Summer Academy. And that's something that I think we just can't live without in our community. I see the kids walking up there for something to do in the summertime. So, and besides that, the amount of activities in the summertime that will bring people from outside of the community into Riverton, which I'm sure you may have numbers on that, but I'm sure there's some from Thermopolis, Du Bois, Shoshone, Kinnear, Pavilion, all those communities that bring people into Riverton to support our local businesses. So
they do. Shoshone buses, their rec program buses. They're
amazing
over here for some of our stuff. It's
Thanks,
cool.
Mary.
Thank you. That was very nice. Thank you. It's my privilege, seriously, to serve the community. I love it.
Mary, you've done a wonderful job with the resources that you've been given. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for your
Staff have any
support.
questions?
No, Your Honor, we do not.
Riverton Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I'm not quite last, better. This is pretty much the same proposal that I've done for the past 11 years. We have had to decrease a little bit this year because postage went up. Amazing, isn't it? But other than that, it's pretty much the same proposal that we've asked for in the past. I would note down at the bottom of my presentation here, since 2008 and 2009, which was when I took over at the Chamber of Commerce, we've actually dropped this request by $23,000. So we're working to leverage the funds that you give us with the Winter Visitors Council and with funds from the Chamber. So I don't know if there's any questions. It's pretty much straightforward what it's been for the last 11 years.
Thanks, Jim. We do appreciate it. Are there any questions from the council?
Okay.
I think you stunned us. Thanks.
Yeah.
Speechless, right? Yep. Let's go to Riverton Community Food Bank, please.
Good afternoon or evening, gentlemen. Now, make sure Mike does not throw anything at me, because if I keep going too much, he'll throw something at me. I'm Riverton Community Food Bank. I'm Lloyd Charles Eckstein. I am the president. I am the president of CNS Special LLC, and I am partner of CNS Rock Shop, which is me and my wife. We run a community food bank. We're all volunteers. We get the money locally, or try to get money locally. If not, my small engines does it, my rock shop does it, or I do other projects for people. We try to take care of people. We go by net. We do not go by gross. We try to stay with net. We have a form that we fill out to prove. When we started it, there was a young lady showed up. She says, I got 6 kids. I need this food. So we give her food. She turns around, finds out the kids are her sisters, and she doesn't even have a job. And she gave us a false ID and everything. So now we have a form that you have to fill out. Okay, that's number one. I've never had any money from any community like the city, the county, or the state or federal. We do it locally. We try to do, I try to get as much money. We started off at $13 this year, $250 from First Interstate Bank. Last year, during the eclipse, we back up. We lost a kitchen, a living room, bathroom, and a food bank. So we ended up with a new wall, south wall, west wall, and a ceiling. We lived in a camper. We sold that camper. The government, the insurance company gave us the money last year, just before November, and we put over a fair amount of money. We filled our shelves completely up, turkeys, hams, everything for the people. We take care of seniors. If the gentleman over there comes up and says, I have a family in need, we'll help him. No questions asked. Teachers, same thing. Fire department, I hate. No offense to the fire department. Number one, they don't have anything. No ketchup, no salt, no pepper, nothing. So I go and buy it. My money, we live on $1,784. I'm totally disabled since '09. So is my wife. We pay for all expenses. We're all volunteers. All our board members are volunteers, 100%. That's the state law. We are the only, and I quote, food bank in Riverton, Wyoming. Lander Carriage is the other one, and then the one in Du Bois is the other thing. We have had people using our name. Now, we have been asked by officials to put this out. That's number one. Right now, we're back on. We're trying to get people to know that we're there. As if here in February, which is funny, January 1, 19, Heinz Grocery Store helps us out. It was due. Inspector come in February and says, this is January, you got to get rid of it. So we ended up with 22 boxes of food. Senior Center gets it. The women's shelter gets it. And basically, if you call up, I don't care who it is, you call up and says you got a friend or you know somebody that needs it, we'll help them out. That's number one. We go kind of by net, say the guys, they get $2,200. Family Services, it's a little over $1,800. His family is food stamps. If he's paying child support $400, in our opinion, they qualify. Students at the college will help out. With this last year, we helped out over 100 one time, and that's because our government was shut down. We are starting back up. Right now, we haven't got that, we've got a lot of food. We've got freezers full of turkey and stuff, and we spent every dime out of my $1,784 for all expenses on the vehicles and insurance, taxes, everything, utilities. So basically, if somebody donates money, we have coin jars. I think we've got 6 that go around. They go between not $100, but $10 to $20 a week. And that helps buy food. We try to buy it locally. Smith's, Walmart, Dollar Tree, basically try to keep it in here. And basically, that's about it. If you guys, if I get a $5 bill, it's going to be $5 more than I had when I came here today. And Mike knows me, and he knows I can be an honorable soul. You know me from Napa for being an honorable soul. But we've been doing this in 2011, and we've helped a lot of people. You help a gentleman out, they drag him in by literally, he remembers that food stamps were looking like dollar bills. We told him no. We told him how to get LEAP. Next month he shows up and says, I don't need any food. I'm getting $300 for my wife, for my food stamps, and now I can buy my wife's med. To me, that's a pound of gold. Guy comes out, we give him all this stuff and turkey and stuff, and I help him outside, and tears around. I said, must be sure he's dusty around here. If I meet somebody that I help out, or my wife does, I don't say, you were at my food bank. That's nobody's business. That's, private. And so that's kind of how we are. So if you guys know anybody that needs food, send them to us. If you got any questions, throw them at me. If I don't have the answers, I'll bring them back to you.
Anyone have any questions? None for the staff?
No, Your Honor.
And that gentleman right there is the one that it's the fault if I'm here because of him. Okay?
Thanks, Lloyd.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Riverton Volunteer Fire Department? I don't see any here. Am I missing them? Veterans Hall and Veterans Memorial Park.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council and city officials. My name is Jim Arndt. I'm the chairman for Veterans Park. Sitting here in front of you is our final mock-up of our park. This has been changed probably 7 or 8 times since I first designed the park. We had originally designed to be on the main park over where the kids do their thing
Skate
on their
park is that?
skateboards and stuff. But anyway, so we have come a long way since 2016. I don't know how many of you have walked out back and seen the park. We've come a long way. We have paperwork in with the city for a UH-1 helicopter that we hope that we're going to get within the 3 years. If not, we'll reapply. I know they're out there. It's just a matter of them finding one for us. And we're not looking for anything fancy. We'll take care of the painting and everything. We've got a bunch of helicopter gurus that spend time in the military. They can take care of that. Kit Cook was the one that filled out this application. He called me this afternoon and said, "I'm sick, Jim. Can you go?" I said, "Great." So I went through all my paperwork and looked at what we had. One of the things I wanted to bring up, Ken had put in the application kind of what we had spent on this project for 2017 and 2018. He has $31,688. I don't know where he came up with those figures because I have all the paperwork there from 2016 to 2019, and we have spent right now $57,876.59 in the park. We've gotten
50, could you give that to us again?
okay. That's $57,876.59 that we had spent in the park.
You sure it's 59 cents?
Yeah. I have all the bills listed here from the hardware stores and everything. So yeah, 59 cents. This year's project, we were looking at $32,000 to finish up. 25,000 of that has already been spent on this new monument here that will be dedicated in October. It'll be mounted in the park by the end of May. And that monument is dedicated to 9 World War II veterans that were sunk on a Japanese freighter. We didn't know they had prisoners of war on them, 1,800 prisoners of war on that freighter. And one of our submarines sunk that ship, and it had 9 Wyoming veterans on it. 3 hours later, that submarine was sunk with 83 U.S. Naval personnel on board. So that monument was dedicated to those 83 plus the 9 Wyoming vets. That was paid by the American Legion. They bought that monument. What we're looking for is, when we started this project, we had the great idea of putting these bricks out there and we were going to mortar them all in. I'm not a mortar man. I've never done brickwork before. But after the first winter, all the mortar cracked, popped up. So we had to remove 300 bricks. And a lot of those bricks got damaged. We buy those bricks. Now they're all been replaced, and we have them in sand, which has been would have been the smart thing to do in the first place. You know, as veterans, we live and learn by our mistakes. Some of them were costly. Last year, I spent 6 days laying on my belly out on that concrete, cleaning bricks, because the water with all the alkali in it stained all the bricks white. We bought sealer from this brick company out of Florida, and with his directions, and we did that, but we did not seal those bricks. So anyway, I hand scrubbed them all, and with a paintbrush, I re-lettered all those bricks. And then I bought decoupage and decoupaged all the bricks. This winter, we have no problem. Those bricks look like glass out there. So that's the way we're gonna do it from now on. But anyway, so we have 480 bricks installed at this point. In this area here, we have 8x8 bricks that we went down to the cemetery, the military cemetery over the hill on my own. All the white cross is nice to see from the highway, but you can't see any names from the highway. And not many people are gonna get out and walk down and read the names on those crosses. So we went down there and wrote all the names down and engraved all the names on these 8x8 bricks. So now they can be seen by the public. We're in the process of putting in Medal of Honor winners, Bronze Star, Silver Star, Purple Heart veterans will be going in this section here. We have 4 Medal of Honor winners, 3 of them from the Civil War. One of them is a woman, 2 of them are brothers, and then we have a Vietnam Medal of Honor winner. And we have a bunch of Bronze Stars and Purple Heart recipients that their names will be going on those stones. We're sending to Florida to get all our stones engraved. We have now a gentleman here in Fremont County that's out by the golf course. He's going to do our engraving for us now, and at a much cheaper cost. So we'll be able to, hopefully this year we'll be able to fill in the rest of the bricks. Our project that we had lined up with the city, we had $10,000 money. If you look in your packet, there's a little note on I think it's second to the last page, from the newspaper, that we had $10,000. We were going to put a mural on the back of the city hall. Well, that project turned out to be $30,000 before we even started getting the wall ready. So we've changed our mind on how we want to do it. What we want to do is we want to put in 2 16-foot, 8-foot panels, 16-foot long. They'll have 3 pictures on each one, and we're going to get local artists from a college that will pay $500 to do the artwork. I think there'll be a better representation. That project will cost us about $4,000. That's a lot better than $30,000. And I think it will enhance the park that much better. The other thing that we want to do is to keep the water off these bricks. And we have a company out in Kinnear that has done all of our powder coating for all of our metal posts and stuff. And you'll see in your packet that we'll put metal sheeting in between these posts, 22 inches high, and they'll be powder coated gray. And then on the front side, we'll have military insignias on the front side facing the park, not coming into the park. And that will keep the water off the bricks, and it'll just, I think it'll enhance the park. This park is not just for people who were in combat. This park is for anybody who has served in our military, whether National Guard, reserves, or whatever. And we don't care where they're from. I have a brick out there from my grandpa who served in the Civil War, or my great-great-grandfather, excuse me, he served in the Civil War. And we have several other Civil War veterans out there. And so this park is to represent all the military personnel within our families that live here or in the community. And it's, we have had right now we're in the process of selling raffle tickets for 5 Henry rifles. And as of today, we are $894 in the black. We've already paid for all the rifles in less than a month and a half. And our drawing is not going to be until Veterans Day.
How much are the tickets?
$20 for a ticket or 6 for 100. And so we have 5 Henry rifles that we're raising money for. And what happened, and not along with that, we are selling hamburgers or brats or whatever. All that proceeds goes into the one big pot and it'll be divided 5 ways. American Legion, DAV, VFW, Veterans Hall, and Veterans Park. So all veterans organizations will get money. I want to say this one comment about our veterans program here in Riverton. We have one of the best veterans organizations in the state. We're the only organization that all work together. We have one building, it's called Veterans Hall, and we have American Legion, DAV, Veterans, VFW, at 40 and 8, and we all work out of there. Whatever functions we have, we all work together. Every year we put on a picnic. It'll be August the 10th this year. We'll have packing in the mail. We'll be playing music for us, and it'll be a barbecued rib dinner, and it's free for all veterans, and then we charge $5 for any person who's not a veteran, and that money goes back into the park. We don't charge a set fee yet for the park. We just ask anybody that uses the park to make a donation to the park. We put that into our maintenance fund. It costs about $2,000 a year to repaint, make upgrades. Part of the upgrades that you'll see on here, we're looking to put in rain gutters on each side of the picnic shelter because another one of my mistakes when I designed this, I didn't allow a big enough runoff on the side, so right now the water runs straight down, hits the wall, and either runs inside or runs outside. So we're going to have to put rain gutters up to get the water to go in a different direction than inside the building. The building itself, we have we have 2 barbecuers, 1 gas griddle and a charcoal griddle inside. We have tables and chairs that can be used up to 120 people. So it's all right there. And the police department has used it several times last year. We've had Girl Scouts use it. And I think it was 8 different organizations used the park last year. We have an Easter egg hunt on the 20th. It'll be our 3rd annual Easter egg hunt out here in the park. We had 2,000 Easter eggs last year. I think we got 2,000 eggs again this year. We've been sitting down at the office filling eggs for the last 2 weeks. And everybody said, well, how much can I eat? Well, no. I can't be eating this stuff. It's for the kids. Anyway, this has been a great project for the entire community. We have had lots and lots of help from the community on this particular project. And I think it's because it's not just for veterans who served in combat, boots on the ground. And we really believe that everybody who served in the military needs to be honored by this park.
Does that include Marines?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, we have a few of those on the group, so I was just wanting to check.
They're part of the Navy.
They always give us a ride.
We have a real tight knit group. I wanted to also say, we've heard a lot of people talking about different funding and stuff going on. Our veterans organization, we have standing policy. If any veteran comes into our office and needs help with groceries or gasoline, we have a $200 limit on groceries and a $50 limit on gasoline. just for walking into the office and needing help. We put 9 veterans in housing here in Riverton since last October, and they all have jobs and they're all working. And matter of fact, they're all involved with our organization down at the Veterans Hall. We have moved 3 times in Kyle's building down there. We have grown and grown and grown. And I don't think we have any more room to grow in Kyle's office, but it's been a great experience for us. And like I said, we're the only organization in the state that has all the veterans working together and supporting this community. So anyway, I want to thank you for your time, and we hope that you'll be able to help us out any way you can with this project. We'd like to see that part completed this year, but
Is there any questions from the council? Tim?
So before there had been the request, that you were wanting to do the helicopter display. You're saying that turned out being too expensive. You don't want to do that?
All the helicopter display is still ongoing.
Okay.
We worked through the city. We filled out the paperwork for the Department of the Army donation program. Right now, we have $1,000 in that slotted for that project. We have no idea what this is going to cost. I have a doctor who has graciously donated $3,000 when it comes time, if we need that money for this project. Then we have to make a decision. The city's going to have to help us make a decision on. We have 2 types of structures that we have a structure that the helicopter is on a slight tilt, like on a flyby, which is kind of the way like the diagram shows you. That diagram is from Angel Fire, New Mexico. I went to Angel Fire several years ago, and I talked to Chuck, got all the particulars on how that helicopter is set, and it's been there for 15 years, and it's been great. So we don't know whether we can utilize that type of stand, or whether we want to put that, if you want that helicopter set on a concrete pad. We have $1 million insurance policy for this park. So when the time comes when we get this helicopter, we'll be looking for your input on what you think is the safest way for that helicopter to be displayed. Because we don't want anybody getting hurt. And the other thing I want to say, okay, and since 2016, since this project started, we have had 0 vandalism in this park. And I think that has to do with the fact that it is a veterans park. The Native Americans will not do anything to desecrate the veterans park. So we do have cameras and stuff that we would like to put up eventually. We want to put up some lighting out there, solar lighting out there that can be lit up at night. So anyway, anybody else have questions?
Mr. Mayor, I just have 2 of them real quick. So my first question is on the murals. Are you going to have to use a special kind of paint so the sun doesn't take the color out?
Once the murals are painted, then they'll be enclosed in plexiglass.
Okay.
To protect them from the rain, snow, and that kind of thing, yes. And yeah, it won't be, they'll have to be, paint that won't fade or the sun.
Right, with the sun taking the color out of
We're
it.
going to use marine plywood and redwood posts to construct this. All the framework and everything will be built out at Doug Mula's shop, and then we'll bring it into town and we'll set it.
My other question is, so if somebody wanted to use that facility, do they just go to the Veterans Hall and ask for permission?
Either through City Hall.
Okay.
Or come down to the Veterans Hall, and we'll come and unlock the cabinets for the tables and chairs, and if they use our propane, we'll charge them for the use of propane, because then so we can refill the tanks. But most of that money that we get from the usage of the park goes into the maintenance fund, because we do have, that is our responsibility. The city is responsible for watering the grass and cutting the grass. And we're responsible for everything else out there.
Thank you.
Staff have anything?
No, Your Honor.
Eric Carr has been the contact on that helicopter, and he's been working really hard on that. We've had some updates from him. Eric, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Your Honor. No, we are on the waiting list with the Army donations program, so we're just waiting to, we've gotten confirmation on that. They're just waiting for a piece of equipment to become available.
I'm on my way to Texas at the end of this month, and I know a couple of boneyards on my way. And I'm going to stop and try to make some inquiries on some.
Fly one home.
Or take a trailer.
Eli Bebout has graciously volunteered to haul that helicopter from wherever we can find it.
I know we've given you more time than most, but I think the veterans deserve that. How long is your enclosure?
It's 48 by 22.
I have a continuous gutter machine, and I'll supply the gutters for that if you'll tell me what you want. So, okay. You know, I think the veterans have given a great deal to all of us, and what we need to do is make sure that those veterans know that they're appreciated. We have 2 Marine vets in the room. Their service is greatly appreciated. Your service is appreciated.
I spent 16 and a half years in before I was medically discharged. I spent 6 years in the Army, 4 years in the Air Force, and then back in the Army until I was medically discharged.
Was it a brain injury or what?
I had 9 operations, 13 tumors removed.
We do appreciate the service, and there's no way that we can tell you how much we appreciate that. So,
My privilege. I wanted to do it. I'd still be there today if it hadn't been for other things.
we do appreciate it. So we'll make sure that we take a good long look at that and see if we can't get you finished up. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
City Council, thank you.
Not last and least, but we do have the Youth Services of Fremont County that we'd like to hear from.
Thank you, Mayor Guard, council members. I appreciate your time, and I do feel somewhat privileged to be able to sit through all of those presentations and just to hear, what's happening this side of the county. So thank you for that, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Melinda Cox, and I'm the executive director of Juvenile Justice Services of Fremont County, more commonly known as Youth Services, and so I will just stick with that name for everybody's benefit. I want to first and foremost thank you for our gratitude for your continued support throughout the years. Youth Services has been in operation in Fremont County for over 35 years. That being said, there's a lot of historical knowledge with our agency and the partnership that we've had with the city of Riverton. And I think that overall, it's been a very positive relationship and one that continues to be that. So we do appreciate that. I would like you to know that I provided a couple of things, but one of the things that resonated with me with Mia's emails was a brief description. So I want you also to know that I do not take this process casually. I've sat in your chair. I understand budget restraints. I understand all of the things that you guys have to consider. So in that brief description, what I will tell you, what I find fascinating is in my organizational chart, the 4 of my employees that would serve this budget request are all graduates of Riverton High School. And I make fun of them sometimes, but they are, the point of all of that is that they're really good people. And they value Riverton and what happens here locally. Even though Matt serves in Lander most of the time, they do value this community, and I think that speaks volumes to the city of Riverton and what your expectations are and how you guys approach business, so I do appreciate that. Our stats, I did provide some stats, minimal stats for what a fiscal year typically looks like. I did this fiscal year through March, the end of March, and as you will see, 287 juveniles. I need to double check that. I think I know what I'm talking about, and then so yes, 287 juveniles were cited in Fremont County during these past few months. Of those, the trends are always interesting to pay attention to, and alcohol used to be our biggest issue. And I would guess that Officer Romero could attest to this in that we're seeing, more property crime related to substance abuse, the seriousness of crimes that we're seeing, committed by repeat offenders has been somewhat concerning. In 2012, the county commissioners decided to shut the doors to the juvenile detention center with good intention, and I think that overall, after we weathered that storm, that was a good decision to be made. We still do detain juveniles. So if Riverton Police Department arrests a juvenile, they will and have the ability to detain them if needed. There's a process that they have to go through, but it's a relatively smooth process now. Early on, it was not very much fun, but it's better now, and I think everybody's kind of grown accustomed to what that looks like, and it works fairly well. I will say, as of today's date, we have detained 95 juveniles in detention, which is very significant. That means what I just talked about, is that the level of crimes are, the severity of the crimes are increasing, and it's not by all of the juveniles. I don't want to paint this picture that it's about a portion, about 10% of these kids that are cited, which is causing the majority of those detention numbers. So obviously, things are sort of leveling out, if you will, as far as drugs and alcohol, property crimes, crimes against persons. Those are fights, or a lot of fights in the schools and that sort of thing will happen. The one concern that we've had, and it's something that you guys may or may not be aware of, is the tobacco violations. So tobacco violations are a status offense, which means they are not jailable. But we have had 40 in Fremont County. All of them, not all of them, 90% of them are vape tobacco issues. And so as we respond to that as a juvenile justice agency, we're providing the municipal courts in both Riverton and Lander with a tobacco cessation class. And then we're going to do a social media campaign about the dangers of vaping, right? So we got to reach that population where they're at, and usually that's on Snapchat, Instagram, I don't even know anymore, but those avenues. And so we're going to be doing that through, the sentencing by the judge, and then what they'll do is they'll do the campaign. We won't do it. We'll have them in one central location. They'll develop something cool, and we'll post it on social media and try to reach as many people as we can doing that. So I'll just turn the page over to the agency citations. Out of 287 citations that were issued in Fremont County since July, 190 are by your Riverton Police Department. So what that means is every year youth services request money from the city of Riverton, and it's sort of a way of doing business, right? We've partnered, we provide juvenile probation services to you at a reduced cost, is what I'd like to say. And I know sometimes that doesn't seem right because of our budget constraints and all of the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. But we have 4 probation agents. We provide supervision, we provide evidence-based practices, meaning we have viable programs that we're working with these juveniles. We provide after-school programs, we provide community service. We do, everything that these adult programs have talked about, we're trying to prevent them coming to. And I think that the privilege tonight comes from me realizing that, the expectation for us needs to be high, in the sense of to change what's happening in this climate and our culture currently with our adult population. We've got to do some real serious work with our juveniles. And I think that if we start taking that very seriously and addressing those issues at 12 to 18, I believe that the reduction in crime here locally we will see. And we'll see that by these numbers reducing, these DUI numbers reducing, the amount of hours people spend at the Center of Hope. I run the adult drug court as well, so hopefully that would put us out of business. And I say that somewhat, in jest, but the reality is it is a very serious matter, and our juveniles, we need to take it seriously and hold them accountable. And we've been able to do that with your support, with the support of the county commissioners, and with the continued support of the state, the department that offers us funding through the state on a biennium basis. And so we continue to provide all those services. We also will continue to respond to anything that you guys see that may need to be addressed. We partner with school districts. We partner, IPR provides our GPS ankle monitoring. That's a detention alternative. So if RPD arrests a juvenile and we feel like they're in need of a GPS and we need to find them, we'll put that on and pay for that cost. I've partnered with them for several years to provide those various services. So the outcomes for us are that, our expectations that we'll reduce recidivism with our juvenile population, which I believe that we do currently, but that will instill even deeper life changes, if you will, so that the adult criminal justice population also reduces. And that's a heavy load to carry, but that's what we're going to do. And I think overall, our juvenile situation over the course of the last 4 years, we've changed. We've had a lot of turnover, but we have some really quality staff that continue to provide local services here and do a very good job. So we do appreciate it.
We do appreciate your help. Any questions?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Staff?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. I think that brings us to the end. Is there anybody else? Would you like to address us?
I apologize for not being here earlier. I had an admin meeting in Pavilion that got over at 6:30. I thought this meeting started at 7. I am a board member at Eagles Hope, the oldest board member. I've been there the longest. And so I'd like to give another little shout out for them. A year ago, I had come in before the council. Chief Broadhead had got a $6,000 allotment for the water for Eagles Hope. We've never been on the city's budget. And so we weren't on the budget last year. And so I came before you and you allotted us about $4,700. And there, I believe they're asking for $6,000. And that is all for water. And so I want to have you consider probably not what you ever do, and that's giving more money than people have asked for in their request. Eagles Hope, the grant goes all to Michelle. She's the director for Eagles Hope. And so the problem that we have is the rent. It's a subsidy. If we could get subsidized for that rent, because we have to let people go if they can't pay, and they may just be on the verge of transitioning. VOA, the homeless shelter, and Set Free are all wonderful organizations. We get people from all three of those. They come to us because they're going to transition back into being productive citizens. It doesn't always work, but without that, they're never going to make it. I was homeless 3 years. I know exactly what it's like and how hard it is to transition back into society. It's better to just forget it and go back, be homeless, not do it. I'd like to ask you, because the water doesn't take away from your budget. We're just using water for free, is what you're basically giving us for $6,000. I'd like to see you subsidize us at $1,000 a month and put $12,000 more into your budget. But I want to put my money where my mouth is, because I don't think the city should do it alone. So I went to our admin council tonight to ask our church to subsidize, to sit there and be a steward for $100 a month. I want to get 10 churches to do that and match the city, because we have an old building. We just turned it into a nonprofit. We're one disaster away from not making it. And I think it's very important, because we didn't get enough budgeted last year with just a little over $4,000. We actually had to pay the water bill. Our treasurer's here. What do we pay? $1,200 already. And we have an outstanding water bill right now that we're going to have to pay, which is, we couldn't get the $6,000 you didn't give us. You said when Mayor Baker was here, I would be back if we ran out. I didn't make it back because I was out of the country. I apologize for not coming asking for your money earlier. But I would just, when you go to set your budget, if you would consider this over and above the $6,000 that's just being used for water, or whatever you could put into your budget to help subsidize. Because what that does, that will keep somebody in Eagles Hope maybe long enough that they can make it. because that's our dilemma. Is everything else comes from that rent and everything else comes from donations. We started new fundraisers. We started out writing for more grants, but we're struggling, to be honest with you. And we'd really try to help you. Thank you very much. I want to keep.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And it may be more for Michelle, I don't know, but I'm just wondering about funding sources, if Section 8 would be able to help at all with that.
The problem we have is that we're a building in and of itself. Section 8 has a huge waiting list. So we're trying to, and you can answer her question better than me.
Because we're transitional housing, Section 8 would not be able to fund us, but we have residents that do apply for Section 8, and that's a big part of how they are able to go on to their next stable, permanent housing.
We help seniors while they wait on their list to get into senior housing. We have, we try to take in everybody we can, and we have a waiting list. We're actually 3 facilities in one. We should have a facility for women, a facility for men, and a facility for women with children, mothers with children. So if you got any extra buildings, and you got any extra money, got an extra hotel, Riverton, and I'm not from here, really needs this facility. And it would be a shame for it to not make it. And we're working on getting more funding. We're having a golf tournament in June. Bowling, we're going to every possible thing we can think of to get more money.
Thank you. We appreciate your effort. Seeing nobody else in the audience that would like to address us, is there anything that staff would want to discuss?
No, Your Honor. We would simply denote that we have distributed the funding submittal forms to council via email already, and if those can be returned to me, we'll get that input so we can have future discussion and start developing our budget.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time this evening.
We'd like to thank the audience that's left. We do appreciate the services that you render to us, and we do, this month is Service Month, I believe. We read a proclamation on that. And without all the service that comes to the city from you guys, we would be in a great hurt. And so as you go back to your organizations, if you tell them that we appreciate what you do, and we do notice it, and we just are limited in what we can do ourselves. So thank you for your efforts. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the council work session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hancock and a second by Councilman Naroda. And is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're adjourned at 9:05.